and we saw a perfect example of that a little bit earlier in the race with the Stippler and Christodoulou moment. Both top draw professional drivers. Both had an entirely separate view on what happened. Frank thinks he did something for a reason and he braked. He doesn't deny it. He braked because he thought he saw double yellow flags. Adam Christodoulou says he braked, entirely accurate, that's a fact, he did. But he hasn't seen the double yellow, he's seen a green flag. So he's thinking, oh, what's happened there? Why has he braked? We love the fact that there was no accusation in any of that. It was just Frank stated the facts, Adam stated the facts. The two happened to had a different view of what they saw on the track at the same time, but it's happened because they're getting used to a rhythm. It's dry, it's same conditions, you can set the same corner everywhere unless there's a car, and the variable there is a traffic, and something like that suddenly catches you out. Adam Christodoulou is expecting Frank Stippler, who he knows who he is, he knows him to fire to that corner like a cannon, and all of a sudden the car's braking, and he'll just think, why is he braking? What I loved was he didn't question why he braked, he just said it happened, it was a fact, it was dealt with. Frank came and said during the interview, great bit of interview there, could have been absolute TV gold that, couldn't it? But it didn't need to be because it was too professional. We'll find out. I'll be interested to see. I'm sure I'll message Adam and see if he says any more. He might have seen the video and go, actually, my fault.
Yeah, it could be tell between his legs, but you know.
There's the 450 Alfa Romeo Audi. I said Aldi then, didn't I? Audi.
It's only a little one.
One that yeah, very good, yeah.
It does look, it's red, it has Dupre written on the side, but it is, you could almost squint and go, Gabriele Tarquini, you know, back in the 90s, the British Touring Car Championship.
195 Alpha.
Exactly, and also raced in that livery in the DTM.
Segafredo, was it?
Well, you can say what you like, but you're probably quite right. Yeah, but
it's the first time for everything.
Yeah, the car we were talking about is number 480. It's running in the VT2 F plus four-wheel drive. Let's explain. We talk a lot about, as we're just taking a look at, well, our race leader, Pavel Lefterov, using a little bit of the bit beyond the track there in the Mercedes arena. BMW in the Mercedes arena, but maybe the Mercedes going to race Mercedes arena would gain ground. Remember the gap between them was 7 seconds. Well, it's not now. 5 seconds gained by the chasing Ralph Aron. I sort of thought we'd come this way. No disrespect to Pavel, who's you know, getting faster across the years, but Ralph Aron is very, very quick indeed. That's why he's on sort of Mercedes book. So race lead after, what have we got? We've got 3 hours 25 minutes remaining. So we're getting towards a halfway distance in the 6-hour race, and it really is race on. And just want to see the pace, because the car I thought that might be the one that had problems was Jens Klingmann, the Schubert Motorsport BMW. It does not have problems. It's in 4th place. It was in 4th place when I wondered if that was the car travelling slowly around the circuit. It's not travelling slowly. It's all over the tail of Alex Fontana in the number 4 Porsche of Goran RT team, run for them by Car Collection Motorsport. They're both flashing their lights. They go through the Grand Prix loop, coming back towards the end of the lap. They've got to the end of the Grand Prix part of the lap. Up to the chicane they come. They'll thump the chicane on both sides, on the right, on the left, get their cars balanced, get them settled again before they turn into the first part of the Sabine Schmitz curve over the little bridge. Very narrow here indeed. That fantastic camera shot, all but whipped off by as the cars come through. But then at the lead of the race, Pavel Lefterov is clinging on. He was 2 seconds clear at the start of that, 2.1. He's down to about a third, maybe half a second clear. He's getting a little bit loose, lot of pressure coming on his BMW. As Ralph Aron has sort of got the sights locked in, going towards Flugplatz. Cars go a little bit light, then the cars settle down all over again. And yeah, it's when, not if, I would suggest, in this battle. Certainly the win with Mercedes. Closing, and looking pretty stable. The BMW in front looking a little bit, moving around a little bit. And then we move on. Let's just go down the order a little bit. Pavel Lefterov leading in that number 1 BMW FK Performance Motorsport. Second place, car number 80, Ralph Aron driving the Winward Racing Mercedes. Third place, 22 seconds further back, so just under 25 seconds down on this lead battle is Alex Fontana, but he's got Jens Klingmann all over the tail of the number 4 Porsche, the number 77 BMW pushing very hard indeed. Sven Muller, 48 Losch Motorsport, his Porsche is only a third, a second back, so Fontana, Klingmann and Muller covered by 1.3 seconds, that's third through to 5th. Up at the front though, The pressure is really, really being applied by Ralph Aron to Pavel Lefterov. Pavel in the race leading #1 BMW, moving around all over the place, not trying to cut across the nose, just trying to keep his car on the track in front of the Mercedes from Winwood Racing that's down, putting pressure on it. Again, Pavel Lefterov is really giving his tyres quite a pounding. So you take a look over the next few corners. Of course, we'll probably get to different sorts of corners where it's not happening as much, but he's aiming for an apex and he's sliding past it, and he is under a lot of pressure. Okay, if you've got a front-mounted camera, as we have on the Winwood Racing Mercedes, you can't always see how the car's handling, but it looks so Ralph Aron is smooth, and Pavel Lefterov is looking quite... not jagged. He's doing a good job, but he's really having to work, and as a consequence, when he doesn't quite set up the car correctly, it looks as though he's really working his tyres.
Moving a lot through the corners, that BMW, which it shouldn't be quite as much, and that's just given Ralph Aron a little opportunity to look down the inside there. Porsche Cayman on the left-hand side, Aron literally gluing the back, sorry, the front of his Mercedes to this is the 24-hour race winning car, by the way, back in May. Just a little bit on Ralph Aron, just a little bit reading up about him, and he hasn't raced since his accident at Bathurst in February. Didn't do anything for the first 2 months. He wasn't allowed to. Just literally had to lie down.
Did he have to stay in Australia for quite a while?
Yes. Yeah. He hasn't. He's never done the Nürburgring before, and he was just
get away.
No. And he just said that it was the one thing he said, the circuit didn't bother him, but he was aware that there, given the injuries he had, that the compression to the dips might be more physical to him there. But on putting it out on pole position and asked what his plan for it was, he just said, nobody's here to finish second.
Oh,
there's a race driver for you.
Yeah, it's been reading Ron Dennis's book, isn't it?
Yes,
Second, first, the losers.
Yeah.
And again, just as Ralph was getting really close,
I think he's got through.
He's now got through.
He's got through, yes.
Got through because there was traffic up ahead.
We flipped away from that. We've just come back to it, and the position has changed. And
expect him to pull away because he gained 5 seconds on the previous lap, and now he's the one dictating how they get through traffic. Oof, gosh, he's not mucking around.
I say, yeah, it's decision making there, going down through the inside. That's one of the Caymans at. Just trying to see where he is. This is car number 8, is it not? It is. Yeah, that was coming out of Vipperman. Yeah.
Oh, such a brilliant part of the track. This is the point at which I was sort of imagining, you know, when I said mistakes tend to be made later in the lap, but this is the point at which I think you go, my brain just can't take these corners coming at me so quickly, and often you have quite a few cameras mounted around the circuit at a certain point when people are doing track days, don't you? The people, the vultures looking for people having spins and so on and so forth. Max Cruz Racing has just come in after 18 laps. That's kind of a 75s. That's sort of out of sync with everybody else. So that is one that is possibly just having a problem, just double checking that they're not getting a stop and go penalty. We talked about car 37 having one of those. Car 32, we haven't reported that one. It's another car from the top class. That's we saw that a short while ago on screen. The Mercedes in the Toyo tyres livery. Yuichi Nakayama, Andreas Goulden and Tim Santler. Tim was at the wheel last time we looked, and that's made a visit to the pit lane. So again, these moments, stop and go penalty with 30 seconds at the stop part. That is a real wrap across the knuckles. I was just sort of quickly looking up the record of Pavel Lefterov. I knew he was a Bulgarian racing driver, but he actually won the German Prototype Cup last year. That's showing with Danny Sufi for Conrad Motorsport. I've just realised there isn't a Conrad Motorsport Lamborghini in the top class this weekend. That is ground-shaking and groundbreaking. But anyhow, so racing last year in Ligier in an LMP3 class car, so he's moved around a bit, but Pavel's done quite a lot of racing here. And again, you know, you don't always race the same thing. He's done a fair bit of GT racing. He did P3 class racing from 2017 through to 2019, and then he moved across to GT3. So he's got a lot of time. No, I tell you what, he hasn't. He did. No, he did. Sorry, he didn't. He's doing GT4 for a long time. Started looking at the record of the next driver on my list, Lucas Legere. That really is good reading across the board. Fantastic battle. And the positions have just changed because Jens Klingmann has moved up to 3rd place overall. The black and red Yokohama liveried Schubert Motorsport BMW into the final corner. He goes out of the final corner, having got clear of Alex Fontana. And the pressure really was on the Swiss Greek driver there in his Gorian RT Porsche. Made it move. Classic manoeuvre. As we said at the start of the broadcast, you can do your overtaking into the first corner because there's lots of width there. At various points around the Mercedes arena, you might be able to make a move. You only use about half of the Grand Prix circuit here at the Nürburgring, the track that opened in 1984. But then you go on the Nordschleife itself. And really, in the course of a race, it takes a mistake from someone else or perhaps traffic to overtake on the Nordschleife until you get to that long run for home, the Ruhr-Ach, the long straight that takes you towards Tiergarten. That is where you can use a slipstream. But for most of the track, a slipstream is nigh on irrelevant because the corners come at you so thick and fast. So now Ralph Ferron leading the race over the start-finish line by 0.8 of a second, but I expect that lead to extend over Pavel Lefterov in the FK Motorsport BMW. That's car number 1. 3rd place overall now is Jens Klingmann. He's 22 seconds down on the race leader, 21 seconds down on 2nd place. So things are changing and a couple of cars are working their way through. BMWs are looking very strong. They're 2nd and 3rd. But right now it's Winward Racing. They started on pole, number 80, started by Lucas Stoltz. Ralph Ferron did one stint afterwards. Then another stint he's in now, and just wait to see what his lap time will be this next time around. Not due in the pits for a while, but looking very comfortable in the lead the race. His last lap was another 3 seconds gain and an overtake on Pavel Lefterov. It's all good. So in control for now is Winward Racing. Who will win today? Will it be a Mercedes leading the race? Possibly. Will it be a BMW 2nd and 3rd? Possibly, but it's looking as though it's shifting towards being a 2-horse race. But the car, the team, the combination that have dominated this race so far, not quite yet at the halfway point out of 6 hours, is Winward Racing, that number.
Dein Online-Shop für Simracing-Hardware und Zubehör. www.simraceshop.de.
This place leaves no room for error. No escape. Just asphalt, adrenaline, and the legend. The green hell never forgets. It never forgives. Every corner, a fight. No room for weakness. The Nordschleife is no place for empty promises. It is the place where they are delivered. Engineered for the green hell. Official partner of the NLS.
Liebe Fans.
Lovely fans.
Besucht uns auf unseren Social-Media-Kanälen.
Follow us.
Auf Facebook, Instagram,
YouTube und TikTok. Willkommen bei der NLS.
When you start the season in the Nürburgring Langstrecken-Series, you never know what the weather's going to do at the start end of the year and the tail end, because you know there can be weather that might be described as inclement, it might be impossible, it might be uncomfortable. When you get to high summer, you want it to be high summer, and it most definitely is this. So you can be fairly sure if the teams have rain tyres, which of course they will, it's the Eiffel Forest, they'll be tucked away at the back of the garage, not thinking they're going to use them. We're getting towards the halfway point in the race, haven't had to use them. Fine weather clouds, blue sky, dotted with these lovely pink and white floaty clouds. Just, but it's another variable in a race that inestimably has more variables than any other one in the world. Anything on the Nürburgring Nordschleife throws so many elements at you, but it's the way you negotiate traffic, it's the way you're fighting the circuit itself. If you were out there one at a time going as hard as you could, it still would be a circuit that would really test you. But one thing that always strikes me is the changing light around the circuit, particularly like a day like today, bright sunshine, then plunged into sort of Stygian doom, into deep darkness, then bang, in a nanosecond later you're back out into the light of day. How difficult? Do drivers ever wear sunglasses, or do they go, I always want to be able to see in the dark bits more than the bright bits? What's been your experience?
I've personally never worn sunglasses in a race car. I'm not sure whether others have. I'm sure they have. You do have, back in the days when I was doing 24-hour races a bit more regularly, you'd have two crash helmets. One of the reasons for that was that you obviously perspire, so they need drying out because they're not very nice to put back on again. So you have one that's drying and you have dryers. But what we used to do there was, depending on your stint, if you had 4 drivers in the car, you'd probably end up doing equally a bit of time with a gap in daylight, then a bit of time at night. So you'd have a different visor, one with a tinted visor, which you could pop down and use effectively as your sunglasses to give you that variable that one part of the circuit, you say, suddenly goes into darkness. You don't want those sunglasses on. I'm doing the fingers like it's abbreviation. But you can lift the visor up and you can put it down should you need to, just to that particular corner. At night time, you don't want the visor on in that sense at all, but some people like the comfort of a visor, and if you've got any kind of sort of cold air system in the car, keeping you cool, you can get bits of debris and stuff come in still, but it also it can dry your eyes out, so you might want that visor to say, even at night, so you have a clear one. Obviously you can't put a tinted visor down at night. Well, you can, but it's not a great idea. So you do that. And a footnote on that, at a Spa 24-hour once, one of those 2 helmets I had, which had the night one with the clear visor, some person stole it from the garage middle of the race. I mean, we never did find it. But, why?
Why? Yeah, they should be race fans.
It's quite extraordinary. Yeah, I mean, we know it was, because we know it was there. But anyway, these things do happen. But I mean, that's the side of stuff there. You'd be amazed actually with it's not air conditioning, but you do have tubes inside the car, so dash vents and stuff, and quite often just come through. And it's amazing what will still come through. So the car in front runs slightly wide, runs a little bit of debris and fires up. Hopefully the stones don't get through, but you'd be amazed little bits of grass and debris and stuff will get in, and suddenly it's in your eye. You don't need that. So that's why people often wear visors in cars still, and put them down in a closed car. It seems odd. It's like an open formula thing, but there's more reason to it. Plus, there's a final note. If you ever are fortunate enough, I'll leave it at that, to roll a car with a full face helmet on, having a visor down and closed is most helpful.
Yes.
Because you will not believe what will come inside the car when you roll it. I've been told, I've seen videos. Let's leave it at that. Your turn, Bruce.
All the small change. Well,
yeah, that comes out of your pockets as well. When you go upside down.
Kiki Sagnana, we just came out of a slow zone just after Callanhart, and he had tucked in behind was number 5 Black Falcon Porsche. Needed no second bidding. As soon as they're able to go back to full speed, the number 5 Porsche has gone up into 7th place, and Sagnana's gone back the other way. So the yellow Renazzo Motorsport Lamborghini has lost a position, actually running in fairly lofty position there, but the number 5 Porsche has been quick all through the race so far for the Black Falcon team. And Gabriele Piana was the driver who started that. Mustafa Mehmet Kaya is on board now, so he has moved up a position, and I don't know if there's a problem for the Lamborghini or just the driver caught napping, but has certainly been left some distance behind. So place game for Porsches, and nobody though has an answer to the Winward Racing Mercedes, because having taken the lead from the number 1 BMW of Pavel Lefterov, Ralph Aron at the end of the lap was 8 seconds clear. That's an astonishingly good run from him.
Whilst we were covering all that, Bruce, we did have a code 160, which has become, or started as a 120, became a 60, and has now been cleared. That was for the Smithers Racing Porsche GT3 Cup car, number 910, up at the carousel, just before the beginning of the carousel. That's now all behind the barriers, was certainly with an intervention vehicle. We do, however, have another one, another code 60 now, which is at Versifen. And it's for, currently it's for intervention vehicle on track, so it must be bringing something back. I'm not quite sure what that's for at the moment. There's no car listed, is my point.
Okay, I mean, it often takes a while for those messages to come through clearly, but good to see people. Actually, I'll tell you what, having been past Sagnana is not really falling away in the Renazzo Motorsport Lamborghini. I think they sort of Thai race and suddenly woke up, maybe got a little better of the traffic, and it's actually just half a second or so down, having lost the position, fallen to 8th place overall, but hanging in there. That's at the moment we've got 8. I'm just waiting to see if we can have 9 cars on the lead lap. No, maybe a few more, because Ralph Aron's only halfway around the lap, so could be in the mix. And looking to see who's further back down the track behind Sagnana. Be number 32, which is next in line, and actually car number 32, haven't seen too much in the race. That's the Toyo Tyres Mercedes. That was one that had a penalty, wasn't it? It had a stop and go penalty recently, so that's why that one's fallen down a bit. But the number you need to know is place change for the lead of the race, car number 80, Winward Racing Mercedes, seconds clear at the end of the lap after he passed Pavel Lefterov's number 1 BMW. So pace and pace to spare. Conditions dry, light bright, not so much blue sky at certain points of the circuit. It might just be because we're looking towards the sun, but certainly quite a lot of the fans at Hatzenbach have got great big parasols there, so obviously you don't want to watch all of a 6-hour race out in the blazing sun, and it really has blazed in Europe this summer. Slightly cooler now. Welcome changes. Yellow flag going towards Flugbats, course vehicle, flatbed. 1, 2, and that's the truck that normally has the barriers in for barrier repairs.
But it was empty, so it looks like they've either been used or
they forgot to load them, or they went off with the tailgate down. Yeah. But again, the marshalling is astonishingly good, and it has to be, because quite simply, a circuit as long as this, you've got to have a clear chain of command, and your flags have to be super clear when they're being waved, and drivers have to understand the difference between a yellow and a waved yellow and a doubled waved yellow, and then they have to be conversant with where the speed limiter button is, so that they can hit the respective grade. Is it a code 60? Is it a code 120? Have to be on top of their game. There is no time to relax apart from the dotting a her, that long run towards the end of the lap, because pretty much any other moment on this track, you're either coming out of a corner or about to go into one, or setting yourself up for one. Oh, and or passing traffic. And that, of course, is a huge element at the Nordschleife.
Yeah, so one of our entries a little bit further down, the M240i Racing Cup category. I shouldn't call it the devil car, but 666 is its numbers. That has been given a stop-go penalty of 60 seconds for pit lane speeding. But interesting, we've also got car number 6, which is the Audi R8. and number 48, which is the Losch Motorsport Porsche, under investigation. I'm not sure what for at the moment, but that's under those two are under investigation.
You will bear in mind Sven Muller in the number 48 Losch Motorsport Porsche is running in 5th place in that three-way back from third. He's fallen back a little bit off the tail of Alex Fontana, and Jens Klingmann commensurately has pulled a little bit further clear in 3rd place in the Schubert BMW, but very much in the mix. So to lose something like that would be tricky. What was the other one? Number 6, wasn't it? Lemons is the wheel of that at the moment. That's Pierre Lemons. It's the one of the many Audis in the field, running in the AM class, but that's down in 31st position. So not troubling the scorers, as you might say in cricketing terms. Haven't talked for a short while about what's happening in Cup 2. It's normally the sort of next class after the SP9 classes, and it's being led by kind of a 9.02 at the moment, Vasser Teurer, but 9.02 from 900, gap between them, it's fairly comfortable at the moment. 9.02 entry entered by Team Liqui Moly by Black Falcon. You say that, no, quite a lot, because Black Falcon are in league with many sponsors for they don't end only the top class, they do various of the cup classes as well. Alternative fuels very much. Someone's coming in to get some now, because that's the alternative fuel Audi car number 75. Dominic Fugel diving into the pit lane. So what have we got? 20 laps on the board, and I expect... Okay, the one I want to peg this on is at the end of 22 laps is when I expect the number 80 Mercedes, the car that's been leading the majority of this race, started this lap 8 laps clear. 8 laps clear, 8 seconds clear. Someone has found an advantage or a shortcut.
Laps and seconds, big difference.
Yeah, days and weeks, years and centuries, and on it goes. Yes, to finish my thought with some degree of accuracy, perhaps. After 21 laps, I expect the number 1 Mercedes to come in. Bruce, concentrate. The number 1 BMW to come in to make its pit stop, because that would be 8 laps, which is a standard stint after its previous pit stop. And as I say that, at the end of lap 21, in it comes. Okay, so I'm not Nostradamus, but there we have it. But I expect the car that it was probably about 15 seconds behind to continue for another lap. So that is very much advantage the Winwood Mercedes, number 80. The BMW has come in from 2nd place. That's car number 1, the FK Performance entry. And that even more swings the advantage the way of the blue and gold Ravenel-sponsored number 80 Mercedes. So track lead plus its final pit stop will be shorter by about 23 seconds. So that is looking very, very good. Drivers will be quite tired at the end of this, because Ralph Aron should come in at the end of this lap, and he'd have done 2 stints, 16 laps. Do the maths on that. 400 kilometres. Sorry, 400 miles. Isn't it?
Yes.
No, kilometres.
Yeah, kilometres. Kilometres, yeah.
Panicked. Oh, got someone moving very slowly down. It's a yellow, it could be a Cup 2 class.
Yeah.
Cup 2 Porsche, waiting to see the window strip if it comes through.
Hazards on, keeping to the right-hand side of the track with the dotting a hoe. Just meanwhile, I mentioned a few minutes ago, Bruce, that I thought there was, well, there was a code 60 at Brunchen, but I couldn't see why. It's actually for car 969, which is the 718 Cayman of SRS Team Sorg Rennsport. They've had each of their cars in different classes have issues this race.
That's so unusual.
Yeah, and that has now pulled off at, it's gone to Flansgarten and now off track, but it's, yes, out of the way there, but that's why that was what I saw earlier. So this Porsche, it's got a
right rear puncture.
Yep.
Flapping away, not far to go, but the speed differential as the other runners come through is gargantuan, but there's a clear line of sight. The marshal's doing a fantastic job, waving the white flag, which means slow-moving vehicle. Also into the pits after 21 laps is the number 77 BMW. That's the Schubert Motorsport car. So again, it's more and more advantage going towards the 80 Winwood Mercedes. Just to say, its final pit stop should be shorter. Interesting combination of young German drivers in the race. Car number 718. Tell me if you've heard of these drivers before. Timo Bernhard. Oh, I think I have. Jörg Bergmeister. They're out in a Porsche 718 Cayman in the GT4 class, and it's the last one that's ever going to be built after this race. These two Porsche veterans. The team is run by Team Bernhard, Timo's company, Timo's team. Will be put in the Porsche Motorsport Museum. So something special for them, special for the museum. And running around in 44th position at the moment. Sounded a bit like Murray Walker there for a second. But puts it, he said, just double checking that the screen is updated to where are they in their class. Bear with me.
What should do that? The Porsche that's coming down the Dottinger slowly has nearly made it to the end of Tiergarten Horijken. It's the Black Falcon GT3 Cup. You're absolutely right on the category, Bruce, and that's the number 632 car, and that should be entering the pits virtually any second now. Oh no, so it's just coming up to the end of Tiergarten Horijken now. Yes, keeping to the right-hand side. It should be in the pits with us very shortly.
Okay, and having doubled back to check the class position of the Timo Bernhard Jörg Bergmeister car, it's in an 8-car class, which is SP10, that's GT4 category. They're running 4th in that, so a decent run for them. Course vehicles picking up broken cars, and whenever you get an overhead shot, you realise just how narrow the circuit is. Right, just a chance to see the current standings. The Winwood Racing Mercedes leading by 19.4 seconds from the number 1 BMW. That's now got Leighton Fury on board, but that was also bearing in mind that the BMW had dived into the pits. So I think the margin would probably be about more like about 14 seconds, 12 seconds maybe before the pit stop. And just to go on about it again, the number 80 Winwood Racing car, by having that long second stint to go with its slightly shorter earlier stint, has got itself back into the mix, and some of its rivals have blinked. Now, we've had a few moments happening out on track, and one was involving cars 6 and 48, number 6 Audi and the number 48 Porsche Losch Motorsport car. Patrick Assenheim has been driving that, and we will soon be able to work out what went on and where and how. They were in the midst of traffic, and the 48 Porsche was chasing, going past the back markers, having to guess which way to go. A Porsche came with a BMW in its path. Marshals waving blue flags saying faster cars coming through. The BMW slows to let it through. Again, it's just really tricky to guess.
Clattered into the back of it as it went past. That was the problem.
Yeah.
So just turned into it. Odd one, that, because it was on the outside of a right-hander.
Yeah.
The overtaking car got through on the right-hand side and then was clattered into at the back on the left rear by the car it had just overtaken through a right-hand corner. That's very odd.
A lot of oil down at one point on the circuit. We've got a yellow and black, I think it's a Porsche at the side of the track. I think it's a Cayman, can't quite see, but...
Is that one of the cyclo cars that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I think it probably was. And so a slow zone around that. As soon as the cars are released, it's flat on the throttle. One of the runners there losing ground, losing position. Up to the carousel they go, keeping the low line, and the back marker staying very kindly up high, but then they find themselves needing a bit of track on the exit, because not long after you come out of the carousel, the circuit starts swinging a little bit to the left and then to the right. The drivers having to work so hard. I mean, that's standard Nürburgring. Drivers can never not work hard, but doing a good job.
Well, we're well into the second half now. 2 hours 53 minutes of this one-off in the season 6-hour race for us. We normally have 4-hour races. Of course, there's the 24-hour race at the circuit back in May. The leading car is the car that won that race, but that's not part of the NLS series. It's the same teams, the same drivers, and all the crew and the organisation is the same, but it's not actually part of this series. This is separate. This is NLS. It's a totally separate thing. The Nürburgring 24-hour winning number 80 Winwood Mercedes currently with Ralph Aaron aboard, and Lucas Stoltz, who was one of the drivers in that team back in May that won the race. They are currently leading, 21 laps completed, and it's from the FK Performance BMW M4. Mixing it up the order at the top, we've got 48 Losch Motorsport Porsche in third place. So 3 different brands on the top steps of the podium currently. And in fact, it's all German machinery, right down to 8th position, where we've got Renazzo Motorsport bringing in their Lamborghini Huracan. And just to keep up the mix of non-German brand, we've got the Haupt Racing Ford Mustang. Well, that's currently in the pits. And then, of course, we're back to Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, Audi, etc., all the way down until we get to 22nd place before we see a Pro Sport Racing Aston Martin at the wheel of that out in 23rd.
Yeah, I was just sort of thinking about that Ford has shown very good pace since it came in and had its repairs. You know, that is a car that, just remember, was only one and a bit seconds down on the race leader, or in that battle for second place, only 1 and a bit seconds down on the Winward Racing Mercedes. So the pace is there. It will gain places through the remainder of the race. Oh, traffic. Just trying to guess sometimes when you go along the Dottinger Her, it's straight until it gets to a kink, but with our lights ablaze. Oh, in as predicted after 21 laps, 22 laps, I mean, is our race leader. That's car number 80, so it's done 7 lap stint, 2 8-lap stints, and that is all fine. Looking to see the intervals, but that was a good double stint from Ralph Aaron. And the remainder of his rivals ought to be diving into the pits, but number 48 Porsche sometimes tries to go a lap longer. Now, just remember, at this point in the race, we've only just passed the halfway point. It's 6 hours today. But whereas it looked as though the Winward Motorsport crew had the Winward Racing crew with their Mercedes number 80 given themselves a bit of a hard task by forcing the issue early on. They've got themselves back into sync with at least half of their rivals. And if they can continue in that vein, that puts them far more into the mix. But it's awkward. You know, it's not just your tactic, it's other tactics as well, and people trying to work out how to respond. And in many ways, you want to do your first stint as long as possible. Makes your first pit stop longer, but maybe the later into the race you do that first pit stop, the more strung out the order is around the 25 kilometres of the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and just gives you a bit of an advantage because your final pit stop will be shorter. But we'll come to that later. We don't need to talk about final pit stops for another just over 2 hours, or just under 2 hours from now. We've got under 2 hours and 50 minutes left in this race. It started at midday. In fact, in many ways, it started at about before quarter to midday, because the cars had to go on that very, very long 25-kilometre formation lap. So they could say, yeah, if you were on a running machine and you were trying to count down to the end, you'd be going, great, after half distance, that's cool. It's definitely a point in the race you need to get to.
I was just watching a little bit of footage at the end of that lap there, Bruce, and we're talking about different driving styles, and when you've got we say a slower class car, that's because by dint of it's a different level of performance of the actual product, not the drivers at all. But Alexander Fehlenbach there in the Pro in the Smithers Racing 718 Cayman was being hounded by the Porsche, was he not, of not Rump, is it Fontana? Yeah, Fontana was right behind him there, and flashing his lights furiously coming down the Dottinger Her. He's got no right to come through, and the other Porsche needs to not necessarily jump out of his way. But I was surprised by how much he kept in the way, and he was dancing the car through Tiergarten, the Cayman that is, to stay ahead for a moment. And it's just one of those things of, you know, do I, don't I? Those GT3 cars, it's going to sound silly, they're not as quick as you might think on the Dottinger Her compared to some other things. And we've seen this before with Cup 2 cars giving a GT3 car actually a hard time on the dotting her on the straights because they have less aero, so they're quicker through the air in a straight line. The GT3 car is quicker over the lap because it's got greater aero on the technical parts of the circuit and just a whole load more power as well. But interesting there to see a Cup 3 car able to stay ahead of a GT3 car. Really not that difficult. You might say, it caught my eyes. Is he holding him up? Is he not? Has he got a right in it? It was interesting. It wasn't the Porsche wasn't all over the back of him saying let me through. It was close to a thought there. So that goes back to what we said about evolution. Suddenly you've got Cup 3 cars in the right time on a clear day, beautiful wet conditions, perfect conditions, I say, weather-wise now, temperature-wise with the tyres, to be able to go. We've got is that an Aston? Is that the Pro Sport Aston that did the same as the Utah Audi?
It's had it. Well, this is the car that Christian Cronje's.
Yeah. Well,
so it did come back out.
This one's got going. And
it's Cronje's back in the car. I think Dennis Vetzer probably did a sim, but that is way down the order. But obviously, when you've had the problem, they had the problem with the subframe, didn't they?
Yes.
I'm just trying to see how far behind that is, but you know, it's
in a different race.
It's a test. It's a test run for them at this point. You can't afford in this race to lose a lap.
I suspect they lost a lot more than that.
Yeah, no, entirely. Yeah, I mean, I should have said even a lap. Yeah, but it's down in, it's laps completed 9, laps race leader completed 22. So clearly, race turns into test session. No such thing for Lukas Stoltz, who's now back on board. He did the first stint, second and third stints in the race-leading Mercedes from Winward Racing, handled by Ralph Aron. So I presume Luca will do a double stint now and Ralph will get in for the final hour or so of this race. But they're sitting on a tidy advantage in the SP9 Pro class. Topping the SP9 Pro-Am class is Sven Muller at the moment, car number 48. And that's the one that, it's little moments in the race. Lost Motorsport by Black Falcon. We just saw a moment in traffic. But Tobias Muller sitting in the class lead.
Look, we've got subdivisions, as we said, in the class. You've got SP9, you've got your Pro, your Pro-Am and your Am. The Pro class within SP9 at the moment is seemingly led by Lukas Stoltz. Frank Stippler still in second place in that, and Tim Tranitz in third, Christian Krogs in fourth, and Dan Harper is fifth. That's within SP9 Pro, not overall. We've then got SP9 Pro-Am. Adam Christodoulou leading, and then of course we have SP9 Am, which has the Lamborghini Huracan at the head of the field there.
Do you want to double check that one? Because I have leading the Pro-Am class of SP9, I have Losch Motorsport, car number 48, which is running second overall. And the Era Motorsport Mercedes that had to have the front end tidied up after the contact with the Mustang is not in second place overall. And I'm trying to scroll down to what's happened to the number of the Era Motorsport car number 20. On my timing screen, it has gone a-plunging.
So I'm just subdividing my screen into individual classes rather than just reading down. So you're saying that SP9 Pro-Am
is second place overall.
Is Menzel in that class. I've got Adam Christodoulou leading it and Nico Menzel in second place.
No, I don't think that's quite reading right, because if in the running order at the moment, the race is being led by Lukas Stoltz, Winward Racing, that's SP9 Pro. Second place, car number 48, Black Falcon car, Losch by Black Falcon. It's Tobias Muller, showing with Dylan Pereira and Patrick Assenheimer. They're second overall. They're top in SP9 Pro.
Right, okay. We've got different information because I've got them running third at the moment, with second being...
Alex Fontana is second in class.
Yeah.
And car number 123 is third in SP9 Pro-Am. So anyhow, what we can tell you though, for sure and for certain, is that Lukas Stoltz is leading the race by a comfortable margin. End of last 15.6 seconds. It'd be more accurate this time around, because of course that was when Stolz was taking over the car, pitted after 21 laps, and we'll see how everyone else settles down. But really, by the end of this lap, everybody should have done their third pit stop. They generally came in around 7 laps, 14 laps, 21, 22 laps. That's sort of pretty much where we're at. The big question on my lips, I've just got to go looking, is where is car number 20, the ERA Motorsport Mercedes? I'm looking at timing screens to see if it's been given any penalties, not in the clear and obvious.
Where it is on track, you mean?
Where it is in the results on the table, because it's, if you look at the official timing screens that we're looking through, it's not in the top 20 positions. We're just having the last lot of people serving their third pit stops. That's where you need Ian McCarthy. Blink of an eye who can have an answer for us. Again, sometimes when you want to scroll down the entry list, because it's huge, 132 starters, you can either go, it's an 114th position, only 13 laps on the board. So basically in that stint, Jake Hill started it. It's been back in for long repairs. That is
currently 7th in its class.
Yes, but it's only got 13 laps completed, so it's not second. It's not leading the Pro-Am class or second or third in the Pro-Am class. It's right there. It's
seventh in Pro-Am.
Yeah, but it's 9 laps down. That's the class. Yeah. Didn't spot why it's lost so much time. And we saw one shot with Jake with the car with their garage. That was when Adam Christodoulou was explaining. Carl said he was seen in the background of the shot. But
so bizarrely, though, you were obviously not bizarre. No, I'll reword that. You were, as ever, absolutely correct. Bizarrely, my timing screen, despite the clock ticking down, when what I read out was that what you said. But if I refreshed it, even though the clock was ticking, the timing, I did double check both clocks, but it actually refreshed it, changed the order completely. So you were absolutely right, Bruce. And so everybody listening in, always remember, Bruce Jones is always correct.
Apart from the mistakes I make from time to time. In the time to time, some days
when you point out my mistakes, you're still correct.
I'm wrong on my own.
So yeah, I looked at the clock and checked the clock on the main screen. Yeah, they correspond. Therefore, assumed it was live and up to date. But if you refresh it, it changes it completely to that which my learning colleague had already said. So basically, listen to him, not me. No.
So really, the thing what it has done so beautifully is highlight the fact that one of the front-running cars, remember it was running third early in the race, has had its problems and has fallen effectively an entire stint down on the field. Big question to me, I want to see if it will continue, because it was, do I say it was 114th position, we had 132 starters, and yeah, it's only got 13 laps completed. So maybe the damage was done to the front end of the car. Remember, we saw Adam Christodoulou desperately trying to take that headlight back into position so no air would get under the wing. Maybe that damage is considered too much, and Jake would have done his stint.
114th now, as you say. So there's a very simple way of finding that out. I shall ask, not Jake, because he's in the car in the pits, I shall ask his dad to see if there's an update. He'll tell us soon, quickly enough.
Well, that's the sort of clever way of sorting it out. Again, quite difficult to keep tabs on all the cars, but what I can tell you is that Lucas Stolz is stretching his margin of advantage. Actually, Patrick Assenheim and Alex Fontana have just come out of the pits in the number 48 Porsche, the number 4 Porsche from Losch Motorsport and Gorian RT. I just want to see where they are relative. Well, they're just in front. One of them is just in front of Jens Klingmann, who immediately passes it. He goes around the outside as you go into the Mercedes arena. I just want to see where Lucas Stolz is relative to them, but he should be in front. Should be in front. Lucas Stolz has been doing, well, Lucas Stolz sort of things. He's just competitive at every level around this circuit, but the thing you always have to remember, if everything was running smoothly, no cars off the track, you are still constantly passing in a 132 car field. A lot of other cars, a lot of them a little little slower than you. You have slow zones. You might have to slow for it, but it might be cleared by the time the next car in the pack is following through after you. You lose. You could lose a dozen seconds. So the times, they really bob up and down, and you just have to hope, above hope, that it's kind to you. And when you're expecting a rival to come out of the pits behind you, you've just been delayed a little bit, they're suddenly in front of you, and it really can change the nature of this race. This isn't a sort of commentator saying anything can happen, but the scope on the Nürburgring Nordschleife for elements that are untoward, out of your control, to affect your race are enormous. You have to keep running the perfect race, and you can simply be once, twice, even 3 times in a race, particularly a longer race, be interrupted by slow zones that don't slow other drivers because they're being cleared, and it is a massive change. You can't factor it in, it's an unknown matter, but I'm just wondering how that is shaping up for Lucas Stoltz. So his last lap wasn't enormously quick, but he had just come out of the pit, so that sort of is a mitigating circumstance. The real key to me is what sort of pace he will achieve on the next lap. So he hasn't got, it's not his out lap, it's the one after. Okay, it should make a big difference on a lap that's 25 kilometres, but it's certainly good. It could cost you a dozen seconds, and in fact that's pretty much how his pace fell away from the mean. So maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill.
Well, something you weren't making a mountain out of a molehill about was the ERA Motorsport Mercedes. I've just said I'd ask Simon Hill, Jake's dad, I've raced in his own time as well, and one of our sometime part-time commentary team as well, was helping us out at Paul Ricard and Nürburgring earlier this year. Well, actually, more than helping out at Ricard, one of the main team. Simon has very kindly replied quite quickly with, after the damage that Adam picked up early on, the splitter, Jake was then hit by a Porsche. That splitter then departed the car, which doesn't make it very drivable, shall we say. So there's literally was nothing to reattach it to by the time they tried to do that. So they have indeed retired that car, which is why it's dropping right down the order. So great shame that not the result they wanted at any race, let alone for their first outing in a new car to them.
Let's be positive in this. It showed great pace.
Absolutely.
And that's all you can ask for. And Jake would have got about pretty much a stint in there, maybe a lap short of a stint. So he'll be becoming accustomed to that. He'll work out it drives a little differently to the Nissan Skyline he was racing last weekend at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit, but it's all part of the experience. But I would say from the point of view of ERA Motorsport, they got in and they were quick with it, and that's what you want.
Yes, exactly. That's the main thing. If you reliability you can work on, and so pace can't always be found that easily. You want a fast, reliable car, not just a fast, unreliable car. It doesn't do anything. No use, because there's only one lap where you get the points.
Yeah. No, exactly. So many drivers struggle with that concept, but still slow zones out around the circuit. A slow zone at Klostertal. Galgenkopf is a yellow flag. What else have we had? Galgenkopf. Yeah, it's those two at the moment.
Yeah, fair siphon.
Yeah, that's been a long one.
Yeah.
And again, this is the point in the race. We've passed the halfway point. We're nearly at 2.5 hours left. So therefore, nearly 3.5 hours in. Drivers, of course, they very seldom do more than an hour in a single stint. Yes, we'll have some double stints, so let's call it 2 hours and 10 minutes. But that's normally it. So you should be able to keep your concentration. But simple fact of the matter, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, unbelievably difficult 25 kilometres of racing. Your attention cannot afford to waver for a nanosecond, because otherwise you might miss a signal being given to you by a marshal, either waving a flag or some of these LED screens around the circuit that will flash a colour at you. You know, blue if someone faster is catching you, white if there's a very slow-moving vehicle on circuit, yellow if there's some form of potential peril up ahead. Drivers have to be, even when their eyes will be moving around looking for which way the circuit's going up ahead and where traffic is, they've still got to pay attention to the marshals. It's of paramount importance.
Yeah, and it's still old school. I mean, most circuits these days, certainly at this kind of level, have repeater lights around a circuit. They're far more visible, they're brighter, you can see them, it's not waved, you've got no chance of it. They can just turn the switch and it's on. And they can do it from race control now. If you look at any kind of onboard footage of race control centres, they're so complex now. We think we're pretty well equipped here with the amount of screens we've got here. You know, this is in a studio as opposed to a race control centre where you'll have multiple CCTV per corner, different angles. Never mind all of it. And quite often I was watching something the other day from Bathurst, actually, I think it was, and it's like an air traffic control round console, and it is literally, I'm guessing, 40-50 screens, all angled, and at the base is a round desk, and there's people all standing around looking at it. Then there's an outer desk where people can also confirm and certain things. And obviously those individuals have got a section to look at, so you will have, right, those corners are yours, and then someone's like that homework when you're at school, pushing the neighbour next door and shoving it around. You concentrate on your bit, because you're reporting information and data that it's facts. It's not opinion, it's facts. Which is what I go back to with Chris Adulu and Frank Stippler. They exchanged facts, no opinions.
No, but the thing that would get me, the more complicated, the more number of streams of information you have and sources of information, clarity of communication. There has to be an organised structure. And often you get, I remember speaking to he was a presenter in rugby programmes in the UK, and he was coming to do a talk at my children's school. And I said, could you just do something for me, as someone who does television? Could you tell me the chain of command from the director to you? Director has absolute priority, or the producer, to your ear. How many other people can speak to you? What's the pyramid? And unfortunately, he said there were 13 people in that link. So it had to be respected. Talking of respected, unfortunately, the number 6 Audi, lovely yellow livery, but that's been in the wars. We knew it had contact. It was one of the cars that kicked up all the dust at the side of the circuit, and that will be taken to the dead car zone, and another car in front of it is being winched into position. We've already got the number 26 Mercedes down there. Remember, that was driven by Stephen Pallet. That's dusty, been off backwards. Looks like it's driven across the Sahara. The number 910 Porsche from the Cup 2 class being lowered down, and then unfortunately the number 6 Audi that had its contact with the 48 Porsche, as far as I recall. That Audi, Pierre Lemmertz, Andreas Ziegler and Alexander Kroker will run no more this weekend. And the car park of shame or misfortune, call it what you will, is just over the barriers from the Sabine-Smits curves, and late in the race you suddenly see quite a few colours of cars in there, because there are quite a few cars. Some races almost none, others seem to gather them. And again, my little point that some races in the dry end up with more in that parking area than in the wet. Right, we've got this fantastic battle, lead the race. Patrick Assenheimer just under 3, well, it listed as 3 seconds clear at the head of the field, but it looks like it's slightly less than that. A really good scrap. A couple of Porsches coming into the start-finish straight, and it's Assenheimer by a whisker. It was 2.8 seconds last time round. Alex Fontana right under his rear wing. The Gorian RT by Car Collection after 24 laps. That should just come up on our boards any moment now. Half a second, there it is. Wow, that's interesting.
We were just talking a minute ago of different camera angles, and just I'm watching in the background there the helicam angle. They've got a camera on the bottom of the helicopter filming what the helicopter sees.
I know, it's
just come down to land, and just watching it land. And whoever's piloting that helicopter is the most sublime pilot, because it's just gently touching down to the ground. Perfect.
Astonishing skills, responsible job. Right, I wanted the stagger to unwind to see, because we had Assenheimer and Fontana listed as in the lead of the race, but I knew that they had been coming out to the pits. They were the last batch to make their pit stop. So the start of lap 23, they were at a stationary point in the pit lane, but they'd been there. But by pitting a lap earlier, number 80 and number 77, the Schubert Motorsport BMW, very much coming into the mix. Lucas Stoltz doing a double stint as predicted, in the lead of the race again. The stagger has unwound, only 5 seconds clear of the 77 Schubert Motorsport BMW. 5.03 seconds if you want to be a pedant. That is the gap between first and second. But the gap is under half a second between third and fourth. Patrick Assenheimer, as we were just shown, just a whisker ahead of Alex Fontana. So 16 seconds cover our top 4 runners. That's not bad. Another 20 plus seconds back to Leighton Fury, another of the BMWs. That's the FK Performance Motorsport version. So top 5: Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, Porsche, BMW, and at the moment we've got car 992 running in with Bjorn Griezmann, Manthey Porsche. That's in 6th place overall, but again, the stagger's still unwinding.
Just before you cut away to that, Bruce, we've got a very, very slow-moving car down the Dottinger Höhe, which is from our 325i BMW class. It's the 102 entry with Nils Renken at the wheel, which is currently now dropped down to 5th in class. Not sure where it was before. That's being led at the moment by 101. With Fritz Hebig at the wheel. That's the leading car in that class, but it's carefully making its way down the Dottinger Höhe, and I'm guessing it's going to have a puncture, to be honest, Bruce, because it's going so slowly on my GPS tracker that it's only just getting to the king.
It was the slowest course vehicle, as slowest as a flatbed truck coming back with a car on top. So, yeah, massive problem.
Oh, there's a metaphor.
Well, Bernhard and Bergmeister, you may have heard their names before. Timo Bernhard running the team with long-time fellow Porsche works driver. They are driving the last ever 718 Cayman GT4 model built. That will be that for that model shape, and it's going straight into Porsche's museum after this weekend. That's sitting in the excuse me, in the pits, and it was running 4th in class last time I checked. Gosh, the races that Timo Bernhard and Jörg Bergmeister have done in sheer number, in diversity, racing not just around Europe, but a lot for both of them in the States as well. They have seen some scenes, and I've always have huge respect for someone who A, has a long racing career, B, has a career with success, and you fully understand that people like Jörg Bergmeister and Timo Bernhard, their ability out of the car is part of the reasons why they're works drivers, because they've got to be professional, you've got to be able to speak to people, but the knowledge they can impart, you know, so it's lovely that they would have known each other for a very long time. It's just rather sweet to see them racing together, and for Porsche, what a good idea. If you come to the end of a line with something, you know you're going to stash it away, put some of your old pros out in it.
Yeah, to all those people that's been around for a very, very long time, hasn't it? Karting and various Formula Ford, etc., etc., doing right through the whole gamut of race cars, and just I think they've got an experienced pair of hands.
Oh, yeah, you would say, wouldn't you?
But those sort of people they're still vital to, you know, if you've got a new model or new product of car or new type as thing comes out, you give it to somebody like that may not be at their prime anymore, and we may not know them as a headline person, but that's where their value is, that you'll give it to somebody like this. Can you come and test this car for us? And they'll drive around, and they've got such a memory, a knowledge bank of information to go, well, it does this, I like this, I like that, that's just, I wouldn't do that and move that, and that's just vital in developing cars, and that's where a lot of drivers can still make livings and make money. It's not necessarily winning races all the time, that gets all the glory, that gets the headlines, but these cars need to be developed, and it's often people behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Yeah, and also Timo is a Porsche ambassador, so he's in fact, like Jörg Bergmeister, both second generation racers, so they're sort of brought up around the circuits. But it's one thing driving a car supremely well. It's another thing when you take in, sponsors as guests and so on and so forth. They're the people you want to put up there because they've got stories to tell, they've got the knowledge to impart, and yeah, going really rather nicely. So car number 718. Might not be the ultimate race car they've ever driven. It's a GT4 Porsche 718 Cayman, but they're doing a very, very decent job, and it's just rather lovely seeing the pair of them out there. Car number 177 in the pit lane. That's a car that I'm fairly sure do we not have. Again, people love to race with a little pseudonym. Russ Turner is the driver on board that one. Are you really, Russ? Other drivers in 177, for your reference, 3 American racers: Malcolm Harrison, David Ogburn, Russ Turner, and Alexandru Vasilescu, who's a Romanian, so that's quite a cosmopolitan crew. But again, it just shows how the combinations of drivers here are almost as if nowhere else, just because so many people are drawn to this event. Sometimes not a full crew of drivers, so you've got to put yourself in with others. Very good battle at the front of the Porsche Cup 2 class 900. And 902 fighting 902 with a liquid moly livery out front by, what are we talking, a second and a bit, but a really good scrap. The class doesn't seem to matter at any point in a race. You just go, right, let's find the Porsche Cup 2 class. 902 Ryan Harrison and 900 at the moment, right under the rear wing with Benjamin Koslowski, another American driver in this race. We saw their car early in the race with Benja Ites, the Chilean racer, on board. But this is great. Past the halfway point, we've actually got over 3.5 hours on the clock, 2 hours 20 minutes remaining. So set fair. What's the gap between first and second? At the start of this lap, it was 5 seconds with the car that's dominating this event by small margins. Lucas Stoltz and his teammate in the Winward Racing Mercedes is Ralph Aaron, his first event back since fracturing vertebrae in his back of his neck, down in Bathurst at the start of February. So he's recovered, he's doing a decent job. But I tell you what, when he gets back in for what I think will only be the final hour of the race or so, that's where your body starts aching. The adrenaline won't be as tough, as strong in you as it would have been at the start of the race. You've had, effectively 2 hours down while your teammate Lucas Stoltz drives. Then you get back in, and that's where you realise, am I physically fit as well as mentally fit? It's got to be, Snowy, more of a strain your first race back, because there are the ifs, buts and maybes, even if they're unformed thoughts in your mind. There is still going to be something you're concentrating a bit harder than if you haven't had, and that takes its toll, physically.
Yeah, the dark thing is it can be something as you feel absolutely fine, it hasn't crossed your mind, and then somebody like a journalist such as yourself goes, how are you feeling? And they go, well, what do you mean? Why have you asked me that question? And it's that self-doubt that drivers do and elite sportsmen do. It's, why have you asked that question? It's a perfectly valid question, because to us it's, how are you? You've had a big accident. To them, it's like, I'm fine. Well, why?
Yeah, I'm racing again,
why?
Full stop.
Why? And it's a rabbit hole. Just something I've forgotten to say there on looking at the Timo Bernhard and the experience. I've forgotten he'd won Le Mans outright in 2010 for Audi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I've just forgotten that along that CV there. Oh yes, of course he won Le Mans, didn't he? Yeah. You'd want to drive like that on board, wouldn't you?
Yeah. That's why he hangs around here. Yeah. Just having a little look at the timing screen, see the pace picking up as the drivers, dig into this stint. And the reason my eyes were peaked was that one of the drivers, in fact, our race-leading driver, Lucas Stoltz, actually did a fastest sector so many times, whether it's a 4-hour race, a 6-hour race. The fastest lap of the race is set on lap 2 because you're not picking your way through traffic. And thereafter, you probably are. And in fact, the fastest lap before our race-leading car was on lap 2, and it was 7 minutes 55 seconds. You're not doing that now. That's a simple thing. But the thing was, on that last lap, he gained 3.3 seconds on Jens Klingmann's second-place BMW. So when all is clear, when all is good, that Winward Racing Mercedes, prepared relatively locally here in Germany, is just the class of the field. Just simply the class of the field. We've had vignettes from other drivers. Frank Stippler was fast in that Ford Mustang for the Hout Racing team, running second. And the Era Motorsport Mercedes, have to stop myself from saying any other manufacturer. We saw Adam Christodoulou showing that is quick as well. But you do have to have the perfect race, or as close to perfect as you can. And they are clear. Alex Fontana is still there or thereabouts, all over the tail of the third-place Porsche of Patrick Assenheimer. We'll look at it now. And that 992 is sort of pitting out of sequence again. It's listed as 6th place overall, but that's SP Pro, so it's a slightly different derivation. It's effectively SP9, it's the top class, but Bjorn Griezmann and Marco Holzer going nicely in their car, but it's running, well, I suppose it could still win its class, but it's just doing things a little bit differently.
Just remind me again, if you can, Bruce, I can't recall because I'm losing the plot, but what's the code 60 at Versailles for? Possibly now barrier repairs, but I'm not sure what went off there. I can't remember what caused. We've still got quite a long code 60 there. It starts at Callanhard with waved yellows, becomes 120, becomes 60, and is clear by beginning of Exmoor. I can't remember what that was for.
There was a car being rescued at the side of the track, but I think, to my mind, that should have gone by now because that was there for quite a while.
Just try and link it with those incident vehicles you saw out on track without bits on whether there was some damage there that's just they've had to take trucks to and take some more barriers or something, because that's been quite a long pause there now, and there's no indication on my track as to what is or was parked there. It'll come back to me.
Meanwhile,
much like this race,
there is busyness, people being busy, and the team manager of car number 5. Remember, Gabriele Piana had contacts in that car, the Black Falcon team EAE team manager to the Tower of Gloom. Right, onboard shot, still barrier repairs going on. They look as though they're close towards the end of it, but a great big oil streak just after that, and then, well, an oil lake a few corners later, but a lot of quick dry placed on that. So
that's answered the question. That's the leading car just gone. That's still barrier repairs at Exmoor I was just talking about.
Yeah.
So that's still ongoing. And you say the oil slick is down there. Probably quite valuable now, isn't it, that amount of oil on the track? So you can tell from how the lap times drop, and we've got a large code 60. Patrick Assenheim at the wheel of the Black Falcon number 48 Porsche. His last lap is an 8:57.9, call it 8:58. It is effectively 21.6 seconds off his best lap. That's what code 60 is doing, drop it down by that amount. But of course, you've got to come across that time, that section, slow down, and then speed up again. So it's just what you have to do.
And again, we go back to it again and again. It's about the ability to be absolutely bang on as you go into slow zone and absolutely fire yourself out at the other end. So a car that may be in trouble. Mike Stursberg is driving it at the moment. It's the number 5 Porsche, running in 7th place overall. Team manager to race control very soon indeed, as soon as possible. But a team that's going like a train is Winward Racing. End of last lap, race leader Lukas Stoltz leading by best part of 9 seconds over Jens Klingmann Schubert Motorsport BMW. Advantage Mercedes. But we've got 2.25 hours remaining. Let's see who comes out on top.
This place leaves no room for error. No escape. Just asphalt, adrenaline, and the legend. The green hell never forgets. It never forgives. Every corner, a fight. No room for weakness. The Nordschleifer is no place for empty promises. It is the place where they are delivered. Engineered for the green hell. Official partner of the NLS.
Die Legenden der Nürburgring Nordschleife sind unterwegs. Und zwar direkt zu dir nach Hause. Dank CK Model Cars sicherst du dir deine exklusive Erinnerung an den Besuch an der Rennstrecke. Unzählige Modelle findest du auf ckmodelcars.de oder im Shop direkt in Adenau.
Faltenreifen. Liebe Fans,
Lovely fans.
Besucht uns auf unseren Social Media Kanälen.
Follow us.
Auf Facebook, Instagram,
YouTube und TikTok. Willkommen bei der NLS.
Still looking good in terms of lap pace, but that means the top of the SP9 Pro class is now down in third. The number 48 Porsche from 48 Losch Motorsport, they are third and leading the SP9 Pro. Second also from Alex Fontana, who's in the number 4 Gorian RT car. And they've been having a really good scrap for a long while. SP9 AM is still being led by number 5. That's a car that has a... Oh! Look at the screen, just got a stop and go penalty. That was speeding in the pit lane. They've also had contact out of the track, as we saw early in the race, when they clipped the side of the number 480, the car that looks like an Alfa Romeo, but is not an Alfa Romeo because it has the old Alfa Romeo racing livery on board.
It's the Audi, isn't it?
It's the Audi S3 of Christophe Dubray, Jürgen Nett and Joachim Nett. So they're top in the SP9 AM class. Cup 2, by the way, it's Ryan Harrison leading that, American racer. He's got company because the car chasing him is just a few centimetres off his tailgate. Beautiful weather conditions though, absolutely stunning, and importantly, though it's still bright sunshine, a bit of broken cloud, it's the fact that it's not as hot and humid as it has been through this summer. Sometimes get one or the other, but the message to go out around anybody listening to us or watching, wherever they are, if they're around the Nordschleife, is don't feel today's the day to have a portable barbecue. You know, certainly fires could trigger at any moment, be like a tinderbox.
There's enough going on in Europe at the moment with that. We don't need any more additional from Germany joining in. Great bit of on board here from the Black Falcon 48 Losch Motorsport with Patrick Assenheimer just sitting behind. Similar Porsche going through bits of traffic. The Dacia Logan number 300 just on keeping to the left-hand side. Assenheimer dipping down the inside and just squeezing his way through that. Didn't look like an opportunity to me, but he just found the way through and just placed the car. But what he did there very neatly was he didn't lunge. He sat behind the car, made the assessment, and basically said, I'm going to go through on the right-hand side. I want to go through on the right-hand side. So he declared his intent to move the car to the right, but didn't go for the gap, because if the other car had moved across, you've got a problem. That was very intelligent thinking, driving and placing of, physically using the car to say, this is where I intend to be, are you going to let me or not? Yes, and through. Absolutely beautiful bit of driving, that.
Yeah, whereas had he gone for the last nanosecond surprise lunge, he probably had a couple of cars like pool balls bouncing off the cushion side of the table. Well, very narrow.
Surprise being the opposite word there. It's a surprise to the other car, don't expect you there, you've got to turn in, and all of a sudden there's a Porsche in the way. Both cars can't use the same piece of track at the same time. It never works.
No.
Drivers keep trying though.
Do they ever?
Keep stress testing
right,
it.
We've got yellow flags, double waved yellows.
Coming to Foxhole? Yeah.
Okay.
Top of Foxhole, code 60.
Okay, want to see what we're having. Okay, course vehicles, they're still doing those barrier repairs. I thought that one might be cleared by now. In fact, the telltale skid marks.
Oh, that's oil slick, isn't it? Yeah.
The oil slick, but someone clearly locked up, clouted the curbing on the right-hand side, and at various points, particularly around that part of the circuit, actually the top of the curbing is quite steep, quite pronounced. You get your car bellying out on that, and that will, you know, clearly lead to a loss of fluids.
Yeah, sorry, Versailles for not Foxhole, completely misleading. Sorry.
Yeah, further on round the lap, but. Yeah, then the track really starts to open out. The various points where you've got a combination of corners that keep you alert, but at this point on the circuit, they just become faster and faster. Just flashing past Patrick Assenheimer past the car. The number 5 Porsche had hit that Audi RS3. No time to stop and have a cup of tea or to wave, just straight on through. Light, dark, it's the shade, flashing back into light. Must be so stroboscopic and really more tiring for you than I think you realise at the time. I think eventually the concentration you have to sort of almost sort of say to your mind, you have got to be back in full vision the second we get out of this shade, and when I'm under the shade I need you to work for me too, so eyes working over.
You were talking about the circuit being relentless there as well. This is one of the fastest parts of the circuit. They run down from Bergberg through Kasselstein up to Klosterdal and all the way up to the carousel, Caracciolo carousel. That is super quick part of the circuit in a GT3 car. That alone takes some ability, some talent and a certain level of concentration to achieve that. When you've got other cars on track, it's extraordinary. Of course, at Klosterdal, it does become a code 60 though, so a little bit of a reprieve for the drivers at the moment on that part of the circuit, and then back on it again to get up to Caracciolo carousel, which is a very fast uphill approach, drops into the carousel, and you literally drop the inside wheels in and dips in. Back to corner.
Oh, I mean, it is epic, and I've said this before, and I will say it many a time again. I could sit and watch an assortment of onboard laps around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. I could watch for hours at a time, because obviously different performance potential from cars according to their category, and the way the cars are driven will differ as well, but it is just enthralling. Right, what's also enthralling is the pace of race leader Lukas Stolz, fastest driver out on track, stretching his margin over Jens Klingmann, the number 77 BMW driver. He is, let's just call it 11 seconds between trains. 10.948 seconds first to second. But just remember, Klingmann's car will have to pit a lap earlier for its final pit stop than Lukas Stolz's Winward Racing Mercedes. And that normally costs about 23 extra seconds. So that is a biggie in terms of the place change. And Lukas Stolz into the lead. And in the Cup 2 class, it's incredibly close. Ryan Harrison still leading the way, but being chased all the time by, he's in 902, but it's car number 900 that is putting so much pressure on him. Looking left, looking right, looking like trouble. And 900 at the moment, in 13th place overall, has got Ben Koslowski at the wheel, and the other drivers in that car nominally through the rest of the time is Benja Ites from Chile and Alexander Hart. So a good scrap. It could be the opening lap of the race, the way the cars are so close in Cup 2, but it's not. We're getting very much towards the two-thirds distant point in the 6-hour race. Another 5 minutes will be there.
Quite extraordinary that, as you say, we're 4 minutes off the end of an ordinary NLS race, but still a third of this one to go.
I know, it's the strangest thing. You know, after all these years of doing 24-hour races, I still can't get my head round on Saturday morning when I'm leaving the hotel, the cottage, whatever, that I'm not going back until Sunday night. You packed your bags and freed your room.
Yeah, same at Le Mans, isn't it? So, you know, just a couple of months ago, because we are coming to the 1st of August now, aren't we? That, you know, you leave in the morning and set off, and you pack for overnight, but it's not really overnight, is it?
No.
Well, certainly not in my case, as you know.
Snowy sleeps standing up for some reason. No understanding why. Right, another...
I'm only part human.
Guess. We're just trying to guess which part. Right,
exactly.
Another lap on the board for race leader Lukas Stolz, but it was a better lap for the chasing car, the number 77 BMW. Obviously, had a better run through the traffic and actually gained back 5 seconds, so it's down to 6 seconds first to second. So even though the advantage is lying with our race leader, his advantage isn't the 6 seconds, it's the 6 seconds, and the fact the car that's giving chase, the Schubert Motorsport BMW, that will have to have a longer final pit stop by about 23 seconds. So let's call it roughly half a minute between these cars on tot up. So that was an interestingly quick lap very quick lap from Jens Klingmann. Pulled that out of nowhere. I don't know how you find, I can understand over 25 kilometres, traffic might hurt you a little bit. You might lose 2, 3, 4 seconds, but it was more than that. He took about 6 seconds off the race leader. So that's a feather in his cap, going well. But where will the next flags come out? Oh, there's Siphon, still cleaning up.
That's been a long, long repair there, hasn't it? But,
well, last time they went past, it looked as though they were literally just working on the top barrier. But we'll see. Nah, isn't it great? I talked about some cars literally being unliveried. There's a
M2.
M2, that's a popular racing class, and that is $8.99. So it's one they might race all season. Maybe they don't feel the need to spend their money on a fancy livery. Certainly there are some fancy liveries, and Max Cruiser Racing, the number 75 Audi, that looks very smart indeed. Looks like the car's been driven over by a tyre, but that's the intention. With the tyre pattern, tread pattern all over it. And at the moment, it had a good run. So, believe it or not, we are almost at full race distance. It's 8 minutes. It's coming up to the 4-hour mark in this race. And we'll see what is going to happen in the final 2 hours shortly. But soon we'll have a little recap of what happened in hours 1 to 4. But at the moment, the Winward Racing Mercedes leading the race by 6 seconds. Will this be a better lap for them, or will there be more advantage gained by Jens Klingmann as he tries to get his Schubert Motorsport BMW right into the mix? Traffic can help. New code 60 at the Stefan Beloff S. So these things, they can affect you. If one driver, the lead driver, can get through before that starts, then suddenly you will have a big, big gain. But here we are, 1st of August, southwestern Germany. Brilliant weather, dry track conditions, and we've got a battle out on the track. It's Mercedes ahead of BMW for now. Four hours into NLS 7. It's actually the 5th race because 2 had to be cancelled for reasons of weather. But this has been a cracker. Beautiful blue skies. A lot of happiness down on the grid. Packed field of cars. 132 cars coming out to play for NLS 7. Clean start from pole position by Luca Stolz. He's in the blue and gold car from Winward Racing, the Mercedes. He kept ahead of Hout Racing Team's Mustang. That slotted into 2nd place. The place gate was actually 4th to 3rd, and that was Adam Christodoulou in the Era Motorsport Mercedes. Yes, they moved over from Ferrari to Mercedes. In behind, everyone else was neat and tidy until you got to turn 3, and one of the Audis, the one from Juta Racing, had a little rotation on its own. But that was, I think, the cleanest start we've had from the front runners for a long time. Actually, suddenly with that black Audi going sideways, the number only just managed to miss it. Had to really slam on the brakes. And there was some fantastic scrapping. The Walkenhorst Motorsport Aston Martin very much in the mix. Nico Menzel and his Porsche just skeetering his way past. And then in classic format, the Gamotto Racing BMW, a sitting duck as the Schubert Motorsport number 77 BMW got the slipstream, used the toe, slingshotted past along the Dottinger Her. So that was a classic Nürburgring race move. But Gamotto Racing stayed in the hunt, but they would have a pit stop they hadn't been wanting early in the race, and that set them back enormously in terms of time. And then poor old Juta Racing, not their day, and round at the corner just before the final corner. And then Gamotto Racing, they had to come into the pits with a problem, lost time. The number 5 Porsche getting in the... That's Gabriele Piana. And there were some penalties coming their way thereafter. Then a scary moment, Gamotto Racing BMW back on track, but was following a course pickup and then jinked to one side of it, found a car parked, a course car parked to one side. Big miss there, thank goodness for that. But there's some good runs. And Patrick Assenheim having a lovely run in the number 48 Porsche, getting in on the mix. Classic Nürburgring racing. You can't always guarantee the weather, but the racing can be good. The Dual Motorsport McLaren was starting to make moves, but that would pick up a penalty later on that would cost it position. But any driver running off the track, well, you just get so dusty. The driver behind would be blinded. You have dust all over your tyres. That wouldn't make the handling quite as sweet when you got back onto the black stuff. But through all of this, peerless performance. The number 80 Winward Racing Mercedes out front, but they're not home and hosed as yet. And up and down the paddock, up and down the order, people still, as we get past the midway point in the season, trying to put points in the bank. You get them at the end of the race, the more higher in your class and the more numbers in your class, the more points you may bag. But there have been spinners, there have been no winners as yet, but there have been losers, and that number 6 6 Audi crew over and out. They're not the only ones to depart. But right now it's Winwood Racing leading this event, and in the classes too, a brilliant battle between 902 and 900 in the Cup 2 category. Pit stops come, pit stops go, but we're getting towards the very end. We will go towards the end of this race. Who is going to win? So, into the final third of the race. 6 hours this weekend, and it's a different mix, a different way of going racing. You get very accustomed to the 4-hour races, but here we are with 4 hours done, only 6 seconds between first and second places. They'll be in the same shot together soon, but was this a better lap for our race leader? The number 18 Mercedes swinging in, swinging out of the final corner. The start of the lap, 6 seconds, the gap between first and second. The lap before had been 13 seconds, a massive swing in the favour of the BMW that's giving chase. This time around, I can't see the BMW in the background yet. If it's the gap stayed the same, wait on that long shot. No, it looks like it was a better lap from our race leader, the Winwood Racing Mercedes, going through, waiting to see when the black and red Yokohama liveried Mercedes comes through. What will the gap be between them? Still waiting. Looks like it was a better lap there for Lucas Stoltz, but you know, it does ebb, it does flow. I think around that lap at pretty much every timing sector, I think it was an advantage for our race leading Winwood Mercedes. Another Mercedes going well is car number 32, blue and silver. That has had a penalty though, and the Toyo Tires example down in 11th place overall. Yuichi Nakayama at the wheel, and quite a lonely race for them actually in many ways, because they've got almost a minute's advantage over the car that leads the Cup 2 class, which is the number 900 Koslowski driven Porsche, and 20 plus seconds back on the car that's 10th, which is the Manthey Porsche with Marco Holzer at the wheel. But let's see, the end of this lap is the pendulum. So he's swinging towards the Schubert Motorsport number 77 BMW or not. Just remember the gap. The end of last lap was 6.1 seconds. We're waiting for the end of this lap, and then we'll know. Was it just a bad lap for our race leader, the previous lap?
You must have just looked inside my head, because I was thinking exactly the same. I don't have the answer, so don't answer the next question, but I was just thinking completely the same thing. There you go. It does happen. It's called teamwork.
Yes. It's called tragic.
It's called tragic.
Two people with only one thought.
Well, a shared passion.
So this Cup 2 class battle is going to go, I think, to the finish. It's advantage 900 at the moment, only by small margins. 902 second in class, Ryan Harrison. He lost a bit of ground last time around. Now, our race leader, the Ravenel, with Grace on board. Grace is not driving. Grace is the cat on the flank and the hood. And that lovely rumble the AMG GT3 makes just sounds sensational. So, the answer to the question that I posed: would it go out or would it go in? Would what? We talk about the lead of the race. It went down to 6.1 seconds. It's now 7.0 seconds. So actually, advantage to our race leader. But you'd say that's as close to no gain at all. 9/10 of a second gain, so not too far out of the background of the shot will be the red and black Schubert Motorsport BMW. And we have had a change of position in Cup 2. 902 is now leading the class from, and apparently we're going to have to look to see where the green flag is. Now this is contentious. If a green flag's being shown, it means you come to the end of a yellow flag area. Car facing backwards, had a spin, damaged the barriers possibly a little bit, but just wait. And there's the overtaking manoeuvre. Where's the green flag? Where's the green flag? There's the green flag. To my eye, that move's been made too soon.
Yeah, it's very opportunistic, I would say, and if I was being the overtaken car there, I think I'd be questioning that one with the team and just saying, have a look at that. But unless there's something additional, that does look a little bit early. Well,
we see it again and again, and we're just hearing that actually the green flag that we could see was the second. So the driver who made the jump was correct. That's always the question. Normally, okay, Snowy, wind your neck back all of it a week. What is the sequence of showing a green flag after a yellow?
Well, immediate. There's no
Exactly.
no bit in between.
But you see one, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so that could be cross communication between a couple of the marshal's posts. And bear in mind how many there are. It could be a misheard signal. Hang the green out at marshal's post. Can't hear it.
Yeah, and I'm not asking for the replay again of the. I would like to see the replay again of that, because I can't see one in the shade on the right when the driver makes a move in the first place in the shadow. That's not to say it's not there or that the driver's not right. I haven't seen it on the little bit of VT I've got. I'm intrigued by that one.
Me too, because exactly that. If I did want to see a replay, I'd like to have the right-hand side of the shot. You know, having been told to look for the green flag, you're not entirely sure where it's going to be. And did I just miss that in the gloom, in the shade, the deep shade at one point? But anyhow, what we now have is 900 leading the class, 902 in second place. But that's one. We'll keep an eye on the warning screens. Did we say there was a stop-and-go penalty a short while ago? Yes, I think we did. We did for the number 5 Porsche. So that's going to fall down the order. No longer. It's shown pace. It started in, I think, 9th or 10th position. 10th position for Black Falcon. Showed its pace, but it's been in the wars a little bit. And sometimes you can end up be in the wars, have no scratch on the car, but you simply getting things wrong in the pits. We've seen cars done for speeding in the pit lane and so on. Such an annoying penalty, but you know, unfortunately, well earned. And that's the sadness. Just can't believe these conditions. It's just so wonderful to be able to see the scenes and the sights from on any of the onboard footing. It is the most extraordinary circuit, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and it can be seen in so many different ways. In many ways, the best way to see it. It's fabulous to go to some of the places around the circuit, the classic corners, and look down on the cars. It's better still to drive around the circuit, but better still is probably being treated with a pro driver taking you around with a bit of onboard camera footage. And then certainly, I mean, when Max Verstappen was competing in the 24 hours, I know that's not part of this series, but he had to do some NLS rounds to get there. His overtaking had people who'd never seen this circuit, let alone these cars before, just going, oh my golly. And that, you know, is extraordinary. Even within this race, you could be driving a car that's in the 3rd slowest class, but you still be able to pass 2 other classes of cars. So you have that advantage. It's how you use it that really shapes this race, because as we know, you get something slightly wrong, someone goes off, and you end up with slow zones, and it's an inevitable sort of creature of this race, if you will.
Just bear in mind, Bruce, that it's only 6 years ago that we had the dreaded COVID pandemic across the world, and we had DNLS, which was digital NLS, which you did some commentary with. But there was a new generation of fans that came on board for that when the world stopped, and we've got that's a BMW in the
BMW stopped
M240i in the barrier.
Yeah, penultimate corner.
That's going to be a code 60.
167, and
just to finish my point quickly, while I find 667 was that there were a new generation of people that came into that then, in, let's say late teens, early 20s, that cottoned onto that because of COVID. Thought this is great, fabulous. Look at this circuit. And then didn't realise it really existed and thought it was a digital circuit, and then found it was a real one. And then to see people like, or see onboards of it, and then to see people like Max Verstappen come and race in it, it's just expectations beyond belief.
Well, it is. One of the drivers who spreads a lot of this message is a British driver called Jimmy Broadbent. There's a huge following on social media for doing these races. In fact, he was racing last weekend in a Ford Mustang 1965 model with Alex Brundle, yes he was at Silverstone, and something else completely different. So he's bringing his own group of fans in as well. But for most people, they see it and they go, oh, that is just extraordinary. Well, we've been watching it for years, and you've raced it. Yes, it is extraordinary, extremely extraordinary. So you could see the number 667 BMW has managed to pull away.
Jimmy Broadbent was racing last weekend in BRDC Classic as well, wasn't he?
That's what I was saying,
yeah,
the Ford Mustang.
Yeah.
And then he's racing here this weekend. We saw him, I was about to comment, we had some footage of him, but then he exited the car. He'll probably get another stint towards the end of the race. But, you know, he brings something different. And yeah, it puts eyes on the most extraordinary race, and that's for the good of everyone. Now, I'm just trying to see who was on board 667 at the time. Aidan Mulrady is an Irish driver who's based in the States. He's, I think, a United Airlines pilot. Apologies, Aidan, if I've got the wrong airline for you there. But let's see, he's sharing that car with Pedro Zalta and the British racer Adam Sharp. Scroll down to see where they were. They were running in the BMW M240i Racing Cup, fiercely contested category. But that little, well, quite a big contact with the barriers. Quite possibly it took two to tango at that particular corner. It's a very, very busy place when you're trying to get through the penultimate corner. You're flicking to the right and then have to immediately turn left.
I was just thinking about that because it looks like it's gone straight on, and it can be that if they're both trying to go through the corner together, they've sideswiped one of them and one's pushed the other off straight on, as it were. Great deal of cement dust, isn't it, basically? What was the trade term for it is the industry term is for these days, but it used to be called cement dust, didn't it, for one of the Porsches in the pit lane, which is the 945 entry. I'm suggesting that's got a kaput gearbox or something of that ilk, or even perhaps even worse being its engine, because it's up on its jacks. There's a few oil trays underneath it, but there's an awful lot of stuff being used to soak up fluid there. So just very, very quickly, just going back to that green flag. Ian McCarthy, once again, done one of his famous... Ian, I love you for this. Thank you so much. Ian will rewind and then freeze frame and capture and send us a little image. We said we couldn't see the flag on the right for that car that did the overtaking. We thought it had jumped early because we couldn't see it in the shadow. It's because it was on the left-hand side. It was a light board, and it's almost obscured by the intervention vehicle. So the driver was absolutely right. There was one on the left-hand side first. He was going past, and then we saw the second one. So he was absolutely right. There were two green flags. That's what our producer telling us, that there were two green flags. We didn't doubt it. We just wanted to interrogate it.
We doubt nobody. Maybe that's where we're going wrong. I don't know. And unfortunately for Aidan, who was very...
I doubt it.
Aidan came across Aidan Mulrady. He was the driver on board 667, but we haven't seen how that ended up in the tyre wall at BMW that was dragged clear. And he came across and joined us. I think it was at the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, wasn't it? Came across, very, very personable, based in the States, Irish father who's deeply invested in motor racing through his career.
There's no other way.
No. All in all, don't go.
Exactly.
Slow progress from the Hout Racing team Mustang. Remember, that was in second. It was a little bit of contretemps, a bit of misunderstanding, and a clatter up the back from the Aero Motorsport Mercedes, which subsequently retired. But suddenly creeping its way forward towards the top 10. This is an impressive drive from the Hout Racing team. Frank Stippler, driver on board at the time, is now back on board. His lap pace is very good, as you'd expect. His last lap was, well, everyone's last laps were slow. He was bang on the money with his last lap. So what's the next target? Well, he's a full minute down on Gabriele Piana's number 5 Black Falcon team Porsche. So to be honest, with an hour and 44 minutes remaining in this race, he's probably not going to claw that back. But there's the target. That's what he's go for. And for Lukas Stoltz, who's leading the race, as at the end of lap 29, in comes Jens Klingmann. So just remember, he was about 7 seconds off the tail of the race leader. He's made his pit stop. He's got time for one further pit stop, but his final pit stop will be about a lap before Lukas Stoltz's, or the number 80 Winwood Racing Mercedes. And it will be about 23 seconds longer. So I think effectively there's going to be a half-minute deficit after those final pit stops. So it's looking better and better for the car we're riding on board with, the Winwood Racing Mercedes. They've done the hard yards, they keep pressing on, but we've still got time. An hour and 43 minutes remain in this race, so not far short of half of a regular NLS round. But it's up to the drivers. Keep looking for the flags, keep looking for any signalling from the side. Do not pick up a penalty, do not muck up your pit stops.
We're talking penalty, don't forget that the number 5 Black Falcon Porsche, currently pedalled by Gabriele Piani, will have a 1 minute penalty added at the end because it came into the pits at the start of the race. So he started from the pit lane, so you get a 1 minute penalty for doing that.
Ah, okay, good work. Right, so at the moment he's quite a long way down. He's in
Plus, I think he's got another penalty as well.
It has. It's got a stop and go penalty.
Correct. Yeah. So it's got that, and it's 1 minute first starting from the pit lane. Yeah.
Gosh. Still yellow flags, and I think possibly yellow and red striped flags at the entrance to the final complex of corners. There's a pickup has pulled into position to block off the inside line. Of course, that's where we had the 667 BMW go off, and there was a big question: did it jump? Was it pushed? Or did it just simply find a slippery circuit? Actually, cement dust being dropped from that pickup out of a little hopper, going to the outside line, and again, not always easy to see. But then midway through the corner, there's a line. The Toyota's just going over it now with those course vehicles. Gosh, they're so good at working in tandem, looking for a gap in the traffic when they can go across on that racing line, drop the quick dry cement dust, and at least start making the penultimate corner safe. And it's so tricky here. I mean, when you come up the rise and into that final complex, the barriers we're looking at in the background of the shot, they look as though they're at degrees across the track. It's a much sharper corner than you realise. But also, you think how long you've been in a straight line, and then just that little kink into Tiergarten. Your brain has probably recalibrated, just making that final corner all the more difficult. So the course vehicle's actually ducking away from back into an access road there, and more course vehicles going out as they've been doing drop-offs. Are they going out to pick up, or is it going to be a case of another batch of cement dust they could drop from a hopper in that one? But still, a lot of management going on. Car number 1, Maxi Mooston, just takes that over. That's the FK Performance BMW M4 GT3 that has shown very decent, comfortable pace this weekend so far. And Hugo de Wilde has taken over for the final 2 stints, one regular length, one shorter one to get through to the end of the race. He's taken over that number 77 BMW, and with the dint of this pit stop and the final pit stop being longer than the car he's competing against, when Mercedes, suddenly it's very much advantage to windward. But where and how? I mean, they could be serving their pit stop at a time when there are loads of full course yellows around the circuit and slow zones. So generally we have slow zones rather than full course yellows here, but it's a long lap, and you could have an interruption when your rival's just getting a clear run around the lap. So nobody's setting fast lap times at the moment by dint simply of having so many zones that are slow and waved yellow flags. The latest one is Schrauben-Schwanz, so right towards the end of the lap, just before we get to the Kleiner Carousel. I'm just looking for people that are actually having good battles. The best battle at the moment is actually in 12th place overall. You go, why are you getting excited over that? Well, it's the Cup 2 class battle. It's back with 900 ahead of 902, so Koslowski for Black Falcon ahead of Team Liqui Moly's entry of Ryan Harrison, but they have nothing between them, just over a second. And Porsche 913, I'm not sure we've laid eyes on that in this race so far. It's running in the Cup 2 category, and it's entered by Bill and Jim Cameron. And looking nice and neat and comfortable. I'd say this is one of the better tools to compete in this circuit when you're confident in your racing. To race a 911 around here is something very special, I'd suggest.
I think racing anything around here is pretty special. I'm not taking away your point, Bruce.
Well, you are a bit.
Not intentionally. Wow. Wow.
Past the 4 hour mark, I should be nursing a cold beer by now.
Yes, somebody's tired. That wasn't the point I was trying to make. But a 911 or I think I'd love to drive around a GT3 Merc around here. That would be quite something. That nice big V8 up front, that deep bass growl it's got. It just looks purposeful, which you're not going to see from the inside of it, of course, but that would be something I'd love to run around here. Probably just something like I don't know, took me about an hour to do a lap nowadays, but that's all right. Get a sub-hour, we're okay.
Yeah, just stopping to sign autographs.
Exactly. said no one ever. That's not going to happen.
Yes. Haven't seen too much of the 992 Bante class car. It's not running in SP9. It's SP Pro. So it's probably got some development parts for next year. That's sort of how that category exists. Running all in its own class, but the two Griezmanns and Marco Holtz. So Marco's on board at the moment, but you know, again, it's a testing ground. It's a test bed. Waved yellow flags. We saw the course vehicles pulling up at the final sequence at Hohenrhein, and they're putting a lot of cement dust down there. And the Mustang that's worked its way now up the order a little bit to 11th, Frank Stippler, just bottled up behind a couple of Cup 2 class cars. Let's take a look as the camera swings around, and yeah, it's saying code 60. In fact, it looks all is done there, I think. But the yellow flags are still held, so you can't go chasing off harem scarum, I'm afraid. End of this lap, we'll get a clearer picture of the gap between. Here we go. Lucas Stoltz dives into the pits. So 29 laps on board, so it's absolutely. No, sorry, 30 laps on board, so they're sticking to their script. Despite going a lap early for their first pit stop, most cars were coming after 7s. They came in after 6, but since then it's been 8 laps, 8 laps, 8 laps, and that's what's got us up to this point. And then it means their final pit stop is going to be shorter than some of their rivals. So they've pushed hard to make sure they could do things as they want them. Oh, the Mustang driver being very cautious, trying to get past the Cup 2 Porsche. In fact, the car that's it's the Cup 2 Battle. He's picked off the pair of them, but you could certainly see that Frank Stippler was using his experience and using a lot of caution, not wanting to put his nose where it wasn't wanted. It's worth losing 2 or 3 seconds for sure for that. And what he doesn't want is any further damage, because when you pick up damage on a car early in the race, it could be a long time to be going around with the bodywork that's a little bit loose. You have that whole concept, oh, am I going to be having more and more things come off my car, because anything that's weak and airflow gets into it. When you're doing 185 miles an hour down the straight, or maybe slightly more, that's not a good thing. So I'm sure the car's behaviour is not as you'd want, but you just got to stay on top of it, be conversant with how it's handling, how it's feeling, how you feel having a car like that.
So we've got a little bit of a change up at the top, are we not, with once it shakes out after this with Stoltz and Fontana into the pits. This is Winwood and Guion Racing. Mercedes and the Porsche. Times haven't been as quick as I thought they might be today, Bruce. I thought they might, maybe it's possibly a little bit too hot.
I think so.
As in track temperature. I just thought it'd be a little bit quicker. I wasn't expecting lap records to be shattered or anything like that, but I just thought 3 or 4 seconds quicker.
Yeah, I think what we've had is pretty much from the moment they got into traffic, there have been incidents at various points around the circuit, or repairs, and that just spikes your gun. No matter how well you drive down the rest of the lap, you're not going to make up for having slow zones. There's nothing they can do about it. Last lap, Lucas Stoltz on his way into the pits, so you can probably take a few seconds off that from when he entered the pit lane. 9 minutes 17. You know, these are not quick laps. Ironically, it was quicker than the chasing.
Yeah, that's now.
Klingman.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, I'm talking a bit of rubbish as usual to prove the point, but you know, 7:55 for the Winwood Mercedes and a 7:57 for the second place Porsche are quick times, particularly when ADAC target time is to keep the cars at 8 minutes a lap. That's what they want them to achieve consistently, and the way we do that was with various disciplines, elements of balance of performance, so we can restrict us and aero and things like that and whatever, so we can slow cars down just to make sure it's even. It's always a mixed, received with mixed emotions, is balance balance of performance, because you suddenly get something comes out. What, let's say somebody comes out with a new Ferrari or an Evo package on a model, and it's suddenly the engineers developed it and suddenly light years ahead. And it's let's say magically 2 seconds that quicker. It's immediately hit with some kind of balance of performance to slow it down. So you can be restrictors on the engines to slow them, literally reduce the amount of air. Everybody talks about fuel consumption of our road cars, race cars, obviously phenomenal, but it's a fuel-air mixture, so you take in a vast amount of air. So the restrictors are usually like a trumpet, a carbon-type trumpet, and I remember years ago when I moved in, it used to be a thing called a stall test, where you literally, it was quite physically a tennis ball on the end of a stick, and the scrutineer's eligibility, not safety scrutineers, would come around. You'd have to run the engine and you'd push this tennis ball into the end on the stick, and it should start the engine of air and the engine should stall, hence stall test. And I remember one particular 24-hour at Spa where there was a Viper that failed the stall test because it kept running. The revs dipped and it carried on running, and they were like, oh, interesting, where else does it get? So that kind of exposed that one.
The history of motorsport is littered.
Yes. It was the fact that when they put the second stall test on the other side, it being a V10 on the Chrysler Viper or Dodge Viper, whichever brand it was, and it dipped again significantly to the point we thought it was going to stall, and it didn't. It still recovered from a very low set of revs and came back to a tickover point. So it was like, that's kind of exposed that there's a lot of air being taken in somewhere else that shouldn't be.
The fire would not stop burning.
Absolutely, yes. Just keep giving me oxygen, baby.
Still can't see why we've got the waved yellow flags, or the static yellow flag. It might even be yellow and red for slippery surface at the final corner, because there are no cars within camera shot.
Is that from the damage for the... Is there still stuff on the track from when the BMW went off?
No, not that I could see.
No, I couldn't either. I just wondered if that was the...
Or last lap, but it may be the camera angle is just not picking up something a little earlier in the corner, maybe the clearing up more of the oil spill, because certainly it's something pitched that Hayden Mulroney-driven BMW around at that point. Don't think driver error was part of that equation.
So he received outside assistance? He received outside assistance?
Not when he's flying.
No, hopefully not, no. Well, we're coming up to a matter of seconds of the final 1 hour, 30 minutes, 90 minutes to go. It is still the Winward Racing Mercedes GT3. Lucas Stoltz at the wheel of that. That's car number 80. This is the car, if you're just joining, is the car that won the 24-hour race here back in May, with Lucas Stoltz as part of that team. In second place, that's a pro car. Pro-Am take second, third and fourth positions at the moment, with Gorian Assenheimer Rump in the Porsche, in 3 Porsche 911s. Brunagel, my apologies, Brunagel is in Müller Motorsport, my apologies. Schubert is in 5th place. Hugo de Wilde at the wheel of that car. And then the first non-German brand has moved its way up to 6th place for the moment, which is the Renazzo Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan. But of course that is in the pits as well, so that will now recycle down again. I just wanted to say what it was there on the screen at position 5. Yeah,
no, exactly. That's always the thing. You have sort of a spread of 2.5, 3 laps over which people make their pit stops later in the race. Earlier it's normally a spread of 1, possibly 2. So it does take a while for everything to settle down, but all will become relatively crystal clear after the next and final round of pit stops. They'll do them as late in the race as they can, but just remember that the lap is 25 kilometres around. You don't want to go, well, I thought I had enough fuel for the car to do another lap. And it's happened across the years, trust me.
There's a story of, I won't allow the people to remain nameless, but there's a story of an historic Formula 1 race at supporting the British Grand Prix within the last, let's say, 10 years or so.
Okay.
And the car that was most likely to win it, I think it was on pole, the team owner enjoyed the highlight event, shall we say, enjoyed being more involved in the team than he would do normally. The team didn't necessarily share that view on the basis of, it's great that you own the car and allow it to be raced and run by us properly and have a proper driver in it, but no, at the British Grand Prix support race, he wanted to be involved in it, and he decided his role was going to be working out the fuel calculations for the car. They disagreed with his calculation, and the car led all the way round until the final lap when it ran out of fuel at the British Grand Prix support race. I will just leave that at that.
You just must feel such a whatever.
I've heard that story from the driver's point of view and there wasn't a swear word involved. It was just utter heartache and pain of unbelievably. I'm leading a historic Formula One race at a British Grand Prix support race with how many corners to go? I've started the last lap and yes, out of fuel. I'm wondering whether whether BMW went off at Hurricane at the very end of the lap. Is there fluid down or something still? But they would be treating that, wouldn't they? Surely. I'm not trying to speculate, Bruce. I'm just trying to work out why we've still got that there.
Yeah.
There's no, because it's got Repticell barriers there. It's not Armco, so there's nothing needs repairing in that sense. No, there's no activity there, so I'm not quite sure why we've got a. I'm not doubting anybody. I'm just trying to understand it.
As the corner went to the right before it swerves left onto the start-finish straight, you're leaving Hochheichen. Hohenrhein. They put the quick dry up to the turning point at the penultimate corner, did not go through the corner on round, and obviously they feel it was only dumped to that particular point. That is just out of the camera angle there, so it's hard to pick up. Right, the car's back beyond that point, but they get the get up and go flag, the green flag, and take off all over again. What's the gap between 900 and 902? Fighting over 12th position, but more importantly, fighting over the lead in Cup 3. Well, the gap between them on the start-finish line was 0.6 of a second, so that's going to be intense, I would suggest, all the way through to the finish. But at the moment, it's advantage for car 900, Benjamin Koslowski from Atlanta in Georgia. So he'll be having a good time here, but being kept on his toes is very much a factor in this race. And in fact, the battle for the Porsche Cup 2 class, you might as well have had this at the end of the second hour, let alone getting past 4.5 hours in this race. Nose to tail, and swapping and changing from time to time, but at the moment it's advantage for Koslowski. There he goes, being chased by Ryan Harrison here. Remember, there was that misunderstanding with a bit of overtaking earlier in the race. Harrison seemed to hand the place back almost immediately, so that was good. We don't want things to be settled in the courtroom after the race. And another car being done, potentially speeding in the pit lane. Another car from one of the BMW classes. Oh, that won't help there. Their time in this race. But conditions still fab. Again, now we have to just check on the progress of our drivers. Patrick Assenheimer listed as a race leader. We've got a car all but stopped. No, in fact, has stopped.
Has stopped, yes, you're
along
right.
the Dottinger Her, one of the Porsche Caymans. Can't tell what class of Porsche Cayman there is, because there are some not just in Cup 2. It's car 420. 420, I'd guess, since it's on the screen. It's very good of them, isn't it? And that's
right by a gap in the barriers there, so the intervention vehicle can just come out and neatly position itself and reverse up towards it. Make sure your parking sensors work on that VW. Don't back into the front of the Porsche. Very neatly done. How professional is that by the officials there? That's neatly done, almost along the white line, just to get back to that Porsche and get a rope on it quickly. I suggest that we pulled into that place very, very quickly to one side. Lucas Stoltz is past that, back onto the pit straight, and gets going because he's into a green zone area once again.
Looking good. The gap we have to look to is principally the gap between Lucas Stoltz, car number 80, race leader. Well, he's second at the moment because by pitting out of sequence, Patrick Assenheimer has moved ahead, but that's not a real position. Can see no impediment now, and I think the advantage is such for Lucas Stoltz. He's done his pit stop, back out onto the circuit, that he can just stroke it. And really, almost the most interesting point, one has to assume that number 80 Mercedes is going to win this race, because it will have an advantage over most of its rivals at its final pit stop, and his lead is comfortable. Nothing is ever forever, though, is it? Because we've got number 878 off at the side of the circuit. It's like you're trying to take the back entrance. Oh no, where do I have to go? I have to go, oh yeah, out there. And again, the M2 racing class has people from all over the world.
Your point being there that there's a three-way split ahead of you on the track there, where that BMW just had its sprint 878, where the left-hand side of the track is going left into Sabine Schmidt's hairpin. The middle bit of the track is the Grand Prix circuit looping back, and the right-hand part of the track there, marked off, is the actual pit lane entrance. So it's kind of like those sort of multi-way junctions of which way do I go, to the middle of the road or not?
Yes.
He had chosen the middle of the road, but quite very wisely went to the left and rejoined the track.
Yeah, so much to learn. If you come here for your first time, there's no way you should start it with a car in the top class. It's far better for the lower speed, learning the vagaries of the circuit, also where you're supposed to pull off. And again, still the slow pace along the Döttinger, which denies a lot of drivers their chance to have a crack.
I'm guessing that Porsche that was pulled back then wasn't pulled into the area the intervention vehicle came out from, but it's been pulled back to the pits at their request. Sorry, Bruce, didn't mean to cut across you.
No, not at all. No, I'm sure you're right.
I wouldn't go that far. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That was all.
I mean, sitting on your hands for 5 hours waiting to cut in, but
manners are far more important than facts.
Damn right. Stop speaking in public. So again, this global mix, this global draw, wave yellow flags. We'd quite like to not see them for a while yet, which would mean there are no further incidents to clear up. But while incidents need clearing up, they are out and made plain and obvious for the drivers.
I'll say a lot. There's a long code 60 approaching Flansgarten, which becomes, sorry, a code 120 halfway through it, then it becomes a code 60. That's still all the way there until we get to Schwalbensvans before it's clear again.
It's quite frustrating if you've juggled your driver lineup, keeping your fastest driver for last, and they're having to run many of their laps way below their normal, happy sort of racing pace around the circuit.
And, the close-up of there was a camera angle there on a number 19 R8 Mercedes. Audi have done the same thing as you've done now. Bruce, you got me onto it. Was that the alternative fuel cars in 19? I think it is.
Yeah, it was the one Coronel started.
That's right. Interestingly, there was the close-up, a sort of almost aerial shot looking down onto the rear wing, was between the rear wing stage. There should be some bodywork, and it clearly isn't, like a tiny boot lid there for effect. But that's not there. That's what the close-up was for, because you can just see aluminium of the inside of the boot area. So obviously that's been left off. A lot of gravel on the track, just where that car is now. There's the number 19. Yeah, there's definitely some panel work missing below that rear wing. Keep seeing smoke in the trees in the background, which of course is probably potentially the drifting going on down at the bottom part of the Grand Prix circuit. I certainly hope that that's nothing else than that, and not any barbecues or wildfires or anything like that.
Yeah, well, we warned them.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. But that is a constant.
We are not that angry.
It's a constant feature at the Nürburgring down because we're not using the entirety of the Grand Prix loop as a drift show down there through the day. So quite a lot of the drivers and the fans, particularly the fans and their families, to see and do. There's a great big arena on the other side of the circuit. Right, a bit of overtaking potentially happening down into first corner. The Renazzo Lamborghini having a bit of a play with the Juta Audi, a car that had its problems early in the race, and as a consequence is
same engines
further that back. I know, it's extraordinary. But just going back to this whole element about GT3 and balancing the top class, if you don't balance it, you'll end up with maybe 2 or 3 manufacturers. By balancing it, you get more, you get diversity, you get 10 to 12 manufacturers. So, and the racing isn't artificial, so why not do it?
I say, why wouldn't you? It encourages more people to come out, incentivises people to say to build cars in the first place, teams to go and buy them, amateurs to come and race them and pay to race them, encourage pros to come along. The whole thing, it's just a win-win situation, absolutely no pun intended.
No, yeah.
I don't mean 2 races.
None taken, none taken. Both hands.
You're too kind, yes.
But no, it's
top 4 window.
It has been an extraordinary category, GT3. It's the top class here. But again, you look down the order, and things like the Cup 2 category, so successful. And for them, a lot of the drivers in that, it's not a very big step up to GT3. So if they can master that, they're sort of in with a shout. They know sort of how they rank after the first test session.
I mean, you never would have predicted. We were talking earlier about some of the BRDC stuff, classic Silverton last weekend that you did within GT3 Legends and the cars and how they've evolved in 20 years. And let's say the first 10 years was pretty well the same. Then suddenly at the 10-year mark, it grew. And again at the 15, so 5 years later, it grew again enormously. But I would have never predicted. I wouldn't have said against it. But 20 years ago, I would never have said GT3 was going to be what it is. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, it is, and it's down to the fact a lot of people poo-poo the very thought of balanced performance. Some people deeply invested in the sport, but you have to put your hand up and say if you're wrong, because the success has been. I think we've had 20 different manufacturers.
Yeah, I understand.
Some are quite niche. You forget that people like Morgan had 2 different cars ratified to compete in it, and of course still one of the most popular cars in GT3 terms, and it had some fairly good success on track, was Bentley with their Continental. I remember having to interview a guy who was from Poland, but he lived in the UK, had a building company, and he used to take all his stuff to the place of work in his truck. It just really worked. But truck pulling off the circuit there, disturbing my thought pattern there for a second. But no, it's just the different cars you get to compete in. Now, which car is that? We see 3 names on it as we zoom in. I think it's a GT3 Audi.
Zooming in, one thing, it needs to be in focus. Muller.
No, okay. Try and work out what that is, but I'm
Is it an M4?
I'm not entirely sure, but I'm just having a quick look. Sorry, it rather disturbed me. I was trying to see what it was. It was coming out into shot.
It's a fabulous. It's the Porsche Cayman 440.
Well, things still happening, and we've got just over an hour and a quarter remaining in this race. We're going to get prepared for the final flurry of pit stops, but before that, we will go away for an ad break.
Dein Online-Shop für Simracing-Hardware und Zubehör. www.simraceshop.de. This place leaves no room for error. No escape. Just asphalt, adrenaline, and the legend. The green hell never forgets. It never forgives. Every corner, a fight. No room for weakness. The Nordschleife is no place for empty promises. It is the place where they are delivered. Engineered for the green hell. Official partner of the NLS.
Liebe Fans,
Lovely Fans,
besucht uns auf unseren Social Media Kanälen.
follow us,
Auf Facebook, Instagram.
YouTube und TikTok. Willkommen bei der NLS.
You hand over to your teammates, and it's not Dylan Pereira on board, it's car 48. Tobias Müller is on board at the moment. He's in 4th place. He's lost a little bit of ground. The Porsche battle is basically over. 3rd and 4th positions at the moment, and don't worry, that is not Porsche on Porsche in terms of class overtaking. That's just Tobias Müller trying to catch up with Arto Gorian. Arto's car started the lap best part of 4 seconds clear in 3rd place overall, but none of those cars are close enough to challenge the Winward Racing Mercedes. It's leading the race. The car that's giving chase, Hugo de Wilde's Schubert Motorsport BMW, is in 2nd place, 19 seconds down, but its final pit stop will be longer by about 23 seconds. So effective lead for Lucas Stoltz and his teammate, who's in the pit lane waiting to take over, and that's the driver who did so well on his racing return this weekend, Ralph Aron. They are very much in the driving seat in this one. What else will come? What twists the tail will happen in this 6-hour race? You might say having an extra 2 hours gives another 50% more chance for incident if you simply do some...
Well, it's go either way, isn't it? Yeah.
Some maths on that one. Still such a good battle to watch, though, is the battle at 12th and 13th position. Still that Cup 2 Porsche battle. 900 ahead of 902. I honestly don't think those cars have been more than a couple of seconds apart since the first hour of this race. Quite extraordinary. Bits of diving here, leading there, but Benjamin Koslowski, American racer, is leading from another American racer, Ryan Harrison. So they probably have previous at home, but they're having a really good scrap. Double waved yellows and the yellow and red slippery surface warning flag at Tiergarten. And to the naked eye, you can see skid marks on the track. You can see where quick drive's been put down on the outside of the circuit, but only just. But I still can't see. Maybe possibly the barrier on the right-hand side of the tyre wall. That was further round than where, as far to my eye, than we saw Aidan Mulroney go into the barriers. But that's the only place I could see. I keep thinking it might be a barrier that we can't quite see from the camera angle, the camera position. But it did seem to be a little bit crumpled at the far right-hand side of the barriers from a driver's point of view when they look at that wall. It seems that it's right across their path.
Yeah, we say it's still under code 60, that part of the circuit, as is Flansgarden. So there's something remedial there, taking quite a while, quite a bit longer than we expected. So very nearly approaching the last hour. Camera shot back down the Dottinger from Tiergarten, which has been talked about. Double waved yellows being presented on the left-hand side from our camera shot, right-hand side to drivers. Officials, obviously, marshals safely behind the barriers there, just producing that look, and we slow right down.
The oil must be a BMW estate car. It's very much the mode. Good to see that. Wasn't after the April Fool joke that forced the hand of BMW, who gained endless publicity by making the M3 touring. But this one, car number 700, rather older in mien, but looks like that's been got together to sort of be in vogue. And great to see people having a sense of humour. And actually, we all know that estate cars actually can have a bit of an aerodynamic advantage. It's not going to trouble the front runners because that's not running in the very top class, as the Morgenhorst Aston Martin goes through. Of course, they were very, very delayed early in the race, so Christian Kron is not able to push it all the way back up to the front of the field. He's showing that with Dennis Fetzer, the Swiss racer.
It's actually listed as a, this is the 325, the QTQ Race Performance is the team that have entered it, and it is listed as a BMW 325i Combi.
Okay, Combi Estate, so it's,
Yeah, exactly.
it's not
Yeah.
a boiler, don't worry about that, it's not a gas boiler. Combi as in combination.
Can offer greater torsional rigidity as well in the state car.
Indeed.
And I think they look cool as well.
I do too, and I've definitely got an eye on a estate car because we're getting another dog at the end of August, so 2 big bow wows in the boot, you need a bit more space.
Because you like small dogs, don't you? Not.
3 iron.
Summed it up.
No, it's great to see something different. I mean, you know,
Absolutely.
Vintage, and you know, hold on, these people aren't just out here for fun; they're out here for 6 hours of fun on the best circuit in the world. Tick, tick, tick. That really works for me. But lap pace, with the end of the lap being slowed by the code 60 there, no one setting quick laps there. In fact, last lap for most of them was about anything north of 9 minutes. But actually, that said, our race leading. Hold on, let me just flick an update, just double check that that wasn't the lap before. Server's being a little slow in upgrading all our timing screens today. Yeah, they were all north of 9 minutes. Between first and second, there was the exchange of a few tenths. Right, 8.75, again, running in some of these very well supported junior categories that are a hugely important part of the mix, and that's the M2 racing class. And car 875 has FK Performance Motorsport. You notice a lot of these teams running cars across a lot of the classes because FK Performance have got Maxime Houston 5th place overall in the top class, but this is the M2 Racing Cup class, and just doubling down to check where that is in the overall running. 876 is okay. Here we go. Yeah, running nicely in class, but 888 is the car leading the BMW class, and it's got a double champion, Franko Mijatovic. He's been champion in recent years with a couple of teams. He's very much a BMW man, so again, he might be scoring useful points all the time. But best placed BMW in the race is the Advan liveried car, black and red, and Yokohama on the nose, so double sponsorship there. And Hugo de Wilde, he is, unfortunately for him, going to have to make his final pit stop a lap earlier than the race leader. And I know I go on about it, but the length of your final pit stop is dictated according to how close it is in number of minutes to the end of the race. And the larger the number of minutes, the larger the number of seconds your pit stop must be. But all Hugo de Wilde, the young Belgian driver, can do is just keep pressing on. You never know. We've seen this over the years. We've had cars cruising to an apparent good result and then cruising nowhere at all. 6 hours, high temperatures, hard work. Not just for driver, but for machinery too. Gap between first and second is now 27.3 seconds. So that has gone out, that has increased, where the Schubert Motorsport crew were praying it would come down, and the reason it's gone out so much, there was an 8-second difference. Lucas Stoltz, race leader, laps in 9 minutes and 5. Again, that's a slow time because of the slow zone and other elements around the circuit as the barriers are still being rebuilt. And then the chasing Hugo de Wilde. So Winwood Racing have very big grasp on this race. Just remember, who qualified on pole? They did with their Mercedes. Who led into the first corner? They did. Who opened up a little bit of a lead? They did. But the two cars that weren't too far off the tail, about 4 seconds further back, what did? They crashed into each other. Over the smallest of incidents, and it's still up for debates, and I'm sure both of the level-headed drivers, Frank Stippler in the Mustang that was hit, and Adam Christodoulou, who clipped him with the Era Motorsport Mercedes, have different views, but maybe when they go back over all the footage, they'll see whether one or both of them were getting it right or getting it wrong. But you know, they will wait and see and find out. But by removing those two, thereafter, Winward Racing has been on a smooth run.
He's also currently got the fastest lap of the race, which is unlikely to change now, I would say. Great job, and if the result is as it predicts now, with just over, literally a couple of minutes over 1 hour to go, then what a return to racing. In fact, it's been what a return to racing now, even if the car stopped right at this point, they'd like to win. But what a return for Ralph Aaron. We were talking about mental side of understanding of the incident happened back in Bathurst in February for him, and how the driver had to deal with that and not being able to do anything for 2 months and not being able to get fit and go to the gym and the dark bits and the doubt and self-doubt, etc. All those things that must go through and play on your mind. And then to come back, and I said, even if the thing stopped now with, I always joke about, you know, a fuel pump or a fuse stopped at it now, they could walk away head high, absolutely no doubt they're doing everything absolutely right. To get it across the line and be the first class to checker flag would be the icing on the cake. But right now, 5 hours in, they have done the most amazing job. And Ralph Aaron, I think, he will sleep so well tonight.
He will.
Probably the best he has in 3 months.
Yeah, because you're back, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many, not just sports people, if you ever meet someone who's a professional dancer, you know, doing 2 or 3 shows a day or whatever, they're all broken to some extent. They're all working around injuries. You know, some of the toughest people you'll meet will be ballet dancers, because, you know, the show must go on. But, you know, can I nurse it through to the end of the season? Can I X and Y? And obviously a lot of rugby players play with injuries because you never got a knock here or a bruised muscle there. So,
well, it's because they're a different breed.
Yeah, indeed. And beer doesn't always make it better. It does feel as though it does, but
psychologically it does.
Yes, yes. Rehydrate, must rehydrate
exactly.
the limbs.
Yes, well, you had hydration breaks decades ago, didn't you? they were just post-match.
After, yes, yes.
I think I have to call that now, post-match hydration break. There we go.
Oh, he's overdone.
I like that.
He's overdone it again.
God, it's gone too hard, too soon.
Right, blink of an eye, or a slight pause in the eye, blinking, and we'll be at just 1 hour to go. 6 hours here today. 7th round of the championship. 2 races had to be sort of knocked off the championship because of the first one of all, because the weather was so cold. The car, you know, just nothing could function. Still barrier repairs going on. Background of one of the shots, looking back from our just totally enthralling Porsche Cup 2 battle. Now in 11th, 12th place overall, and it is next to nothing between the pair of them. Either of these crews, crew number 900 or 902, will remember this race for just the most fantastic scrap. You've got no guarantee the cars can run together. Someone could interrupt them, could interrupt their pace. There could be an incident in front of one, not the other. They're separated. They have not been separated. And it has just been the most fantastic race for the pair of them and for the fans, because when you can watch it from trackside, you can watch it on TV, you can listen to it, and it's just relentless. And this would have been astonishing if it had run to the 4-hour mark, the traditional end time of this race. But we've got 2 extra hours. What have they done? They've packed in 2 more hours, or so far 1 extra hour, 1 hour still to go, and they're still nose to tail. It's still Ben Koslowski, that's the black and red Black Falcon Team Zimmerman car, and getting a tow from it, as it has, lap after lap, fellow American racer Ryan Harrison, Team Liqui Moly by Black Falcon. They're running the Liqui Moly white with blue and red stripe livery. And the slow zone up ahead, no overtaking, and so 902 gets right under the rear wing of 900. They will go up through the final sequence of corners where the slow zone is out for slippery surface. Tell you what, I'm going to have a little... Oh, and the cars in front all but come to a stop, so luckily there wasn't a collision between those. But you can be sure when they turn out of the corner, the final corner onto the start-finish straight, that hammer is going to be down, throttle mass through the floor. And see you can get the better run down to turn 1. But with 1, 2, 4 cars across their nose, any one of those cars could have a role to play when they take the rush to the first corner. Any single one of the cars in front. The green flag is only as they come over the gantry, and what's happening? They're nose to tail going into the pits. I thought that might just be coming. And some of the cars coming to the pits take a different line because they have to actually go to garages elsewhere. This is going to run to the very end. Oh, and of course, being both Black Falcon cars,
Yes.
they're in neighbouring pit garages. They'll have to be put up on the dollies, swung around through 45 degrees, and what's happened, this 6-hour race for them is about to turn into a 1-hour blast to the finish. It's been a blast from the very start, but one slip for either of these cars and things could get really unfortunate in terms of battle won or battle lost. Who's going to come out on top? For now, by the length of one car, it's 900, the Team Zimmermann car, entered by Black Falcon, that has the lead. But what a lead, next to nothing.
Liquid Moly, to me, still synonymous with Australian entered cars. It's always that part of the world to me. Just certain brands are synonymous, aren't they? And so you see certain liveries or sponsors, and you just think of a certain thing, whether it be a point in F1 or sports cars or whatever. I just see Liquid Moly, and I just think Australia.
Do you?
Yeah.
I always think German racing.
There you go.
Interesting, interesting. Right, Benja Ites is climbing on board, taking over from Koslowski. So he's put into the 900. That's the car that's leading, as I say, by one car length in the Porsche Cup, the Cup 2 class, 911 GT3 Porsches. So he's got a lot of responsibility, but Benja has plenty of experience here, so I'd say that's a very good person to put in the car. Raphael Rennhofer did lead the class in the first stint, but the leading Cup 2 has never been more than, yeah, that's enough. That'll do. Very, very tight indeed. Oh, so many things can happen in an hour around here. It's just, but yet they have stayed relentlessly nose to tail, bumper to bumper. There had been a place change, and then there was a question mark about where was the green flag, with the 1, with the 2. And we thought that the Team Zimmermann car had gone a little bit early, but it seems they were within their rights. As I say that, I quickly look up to the screen to see if any more punishments are coming anybody's way. Not so much about cars that are at the sharp end of the field, so that's good. You never like someone who's laboured long and hard to get a good result. Keep Vitesse, unfortunately, they're running SP9 AM. They've got a failed to manage code 60 under investigation, and then later still under investigation. Maybe they did it twice, we will see. So the pit's largely with cars from the Cup 2 class and some of the BMW classes down there alongside those Porsches, but for those on the track, again, we're not running at enormously high pace at the moment, simply because of the slow zones out on circuit. And leaving the pit stops, that battle for Cup 2 honours. It looks like a second or so has been gained, maybe 2 seconds even, by Benja Ites, taking over from Benjamin Koslowski, and only now just accelerating back onto the circuit. So the Chilean driver, all concentration. He's got a job to do, and he's suddenly found a tiny little buffer. In fact, pretty much as that car has had all race. He turns out of turn 1 at the very point, hitting the apex of turn 1. Is the chasing 902 still, and it's Vasa Teura who's taken over that, and Benja Ites who's in 900. Let's see what they can do. What's left on the clock? 55 minutes.
What was the gap between those as they came in?
It was the car's length.
Yeah.
They were nose to tail, and when they've come out, there's about a 2-second gap between them. And they came from neighbouring garages, so one could take a look at the other, but certainly Benja Ites' crew did it slightly the better. And immediately Ben Ites trying to put any other car he can find between him and his chasing rival. I'd say the gap's out to about 3 seconds now. So Benja's been very hard on the throttle as soon as he got out, just getting that little break. And it's that whole thing. When he gets around to the Dottinger Hoa, the last thing he wants is the chasing car, the Liqui Moly car, to be close enough to get a tow. So he might have done enough already, but who knows at what point around the circuit he can be backed up. And then again, when you get to the end of the lap, when everybody slows down for the slow zone into that final sequence of corners, some people seem to slow down a bit more than others, and that really can hinder you when you've been chipping away to gain 1/10 of a second here, 1/10 of a second there. But yes, it's about 2.5 to 3 second margin as they go over the 2 Sabine Schmitz curves. And right now, into Hatz and back, a twist to the left, a twist to the right, a twist to the left, tightens, barriers hard on driver's left. Bit of shade falling across the track there to give that sort of dappled light that really is nobody's friend at all, because it's just hard to define where everything is. Is there any liquid down on the surface? And don't forget, these drivers are just getting on board. but neither of them have been in the car for about 2 to 3 hours, so it is a bit of a voyage into what the heck's out there. But Leon Vassatoya, well, he can still see Benja-Itez, but a few more corners he may not be able to. In fact, he goes up towards Flugplatz. You can't see the black and red Team Zimmermann car, and I would suggest that Benjamin Itez is on an absolute flyer to get away, make himself invisible as much as he can. Yeah, he stretched it to more than 3 seconds. He has really been on it, the Chilean. Can be seen a little further around the lap, but only on the straight, on the longer straight, so he's doing a good job. But, well, will Vassatoya come back? We will find out. Then where's the traffic for? Right across the nose of Benja-Itez. Has to go round. Toyota Igo. What? Toyota Igo. Carry on. And the thing, how many circuits, international racing circuits, have slopes? Answer, all the best ones. How many have long downhill sections with sweeping S's that go one corner to another to another? Very few. Very few circuits have more than about 3 corners in a row that have a drop. Bathurst has many in drop. Well, who did well there? Well, lots of drivers. But, you know, most circuits you have a bit of a dip and then the track comes up the other side. But certainly one of the many features that make the Nürburgring stand out is having long sequences of downhill. You can just imagine the speed building and building and building, and does your nerve hold? Ooh.
Not always.
Not always. I suddenly just, it's always interesting when you see a car that's about to go into a very slow zone. Camera shot, you think, have they stopped? Have they got a problem? No, it's just the fact that suddenly they've gone down to relatively normal speeds where they should be coming past at, you know, speeds far in excess of what you do on a road. But anyhow, out of the final corner they come again. It was just showing a car running into that final sequence of corners, but they don't get shown the green flag until they've done that final left turn onto the start-finish straight. Then they go, hurrah, and off they set. But it does seem like walking pace, and I can only presume with the quick dry put down to dry at the surface, the only reason that has got double wave yellows is I don't think they can fix the tyre wall before the end of the race. So the only way of making it safe is to drop everyone's speed down to about 60k, maybe even slightly less than that, and then they crawl through the corner. But there's no work going on that we have seen in the last lap or so on the tyre wall on the outside. So I'm afraid I think that is just been a decision from race control that the only way of controlling speeds and stopping drivers from exceeding the desired speed into that corner is to make it official. They have to slow down. In the field, the SP9s, which are GT3 cars, goes past it. It's going to go past it in normal speed, but in the last half hour or so, I think the last time I saw it, it just didn't seem to be quite on its normal pace. And I just sort of thought, oh, has it got a problem? Is there something fluffing? But if you're picking that up as well, that is intriguing. The damage, actually very useful getting an aerial shot.
Yeah.
The reason I will explain why it's useful is looking down at the tyre wall, on driver's left, or pretty much straight on if they lock up, going into the tyre wall at that final sequence of corners, there is if you look at it from the front, the banding, the rubber banding in front of it makes the barrier look complete. But if you look at it from above, the middle section of the barrier is missing a stack or two of tyres, and whatever is behind the barrier. I'd like to have another look next time around. I think, but I stick with what I'm saying. Here we are with just under 50 minutes remaining. I don't think they can repair that before the end of the race, and so that I believe, again, it's my assumption here, that they have decided the safest way is to control that corner and keep the drivers safe is to force drivers to back off. What it does mean, of course, if we had a last lap sort out, there could be no overtaking through that final sequence. Driver who's leading the race, he's stuck behind a load of cars going very slowly, but they're going at the appointed pace, so no one loses, no one gains. through the final sequence of corners, but Lucas Stoltz coming through. This is lap 34. Car number 80 came in for a pit stop after lap 30, so doesn't require one at the moment. But actually, I'll tell you what, this will be quite interesting, isn't it? As we get closer to the end of the race, because the lap speed is so much longer than normal, it means those final pit stops will be a little bit shorter. But again, the real factor that counts is if you come in a lap before someone else, your final pit stop is going to be 23 seconds longer. That's the figure you need to know. Just keep that figure in mind. So if everyone slows down, it means their final pit stops are all shorter, but still the relative disadvantage of a car pitting a lap earlier is about 23 seconds. So that is a lot. So another lap ticked off. 35 laps on the board for Winward Racing, the team based in the States, and at Altendietz here in Germany. And a long and illustrious history for them, set up by the Ward family. Bryce the father, Russell the son, racing in the States a lot, but they've done a lot of racing in Europe, and they've been very much affiliated. Makes sense if you're running Mercedes, as they have been uniformly, to base yourself in Germany as well. Help out.
So we've got an intervention vehicle just coming out from the right-hand side of the Dotting Her off the kink on the rise up to Tiergarten. I've just seen it come out on the camera there, Bruce, which is where we had that Cayman stop, just on that brow a little bit further. And I just wonder if... Yes, I've got a suspicion. I wonder if the Dacia Logan has stopped on there.
Yeah, the hard thing...
And now needs rescuing.
Yeah, because the hard thing on the straight ahead shot that we're treated is looking back.
It's foreshortening, yeah.
It's foreshortening. Also, there's a dip at the bottom that you cannot always see all the way into. So you can sometimes go, I didn't even know the car was there. It depends just literally on the...
Well, according to the GPS Auger, so the GPS Eye, the number 300 Logan is much further back. It hasn't even made it to the kink, which we can't see on that camera shot, just because the Audi Sport bridge is in the way.
Well, here we are. There's been no fog, no mist, no rain, no snow. I hardly feel it's around the NLS. But of course, it's a championship that runs across the year. The start, early races in the year, and sometimes the late season races can be prone to the sort of weather that you don't get in July. But we've had races here in July that have been strafed with rain as well. It's now the start of August, but this summer in Europe has been very, very hot indeed. As you can see, if you're watching rather than listening, that the grass verges are a sort of almost a mustard yellow, a browny hue, sort of mixture of English and German mustard, I would suggest, together. But anyhow, it is arid here, and we had to give out warnings today. Do not, if you're at the circuit, have a portable barbecue that may set things on fire. Have, cold cuts at lunchtime, I would suggest. But conditions for the photographers and everyone, it's a hot time. And for the marshals, the rescue crews around the circuit, wearing their fireproof overalls, they will definitely want to put their feet into a bucket of cold water, and maybe other body parts as well at the end of today. But they enable us to have this racing, and it is just one of the most spectacular places you can see racing in the world, if not the most spectacular. There's also diversity, Snowy. We've watched these over the years. Having the multi-class racing, the biggest shame is we can't watch all the classes all the time. There's some absolutely brilliant scraps. Our eyes are always drawn to the SP9 because they're the most dynamic cars, the fastest cars. They're coming through, they're overtaking, they're pitching for overall glory. But there is so much to see, and you almost want to re-watch the race with the director looking at other cars as well. They cover all the classes, but you just want to spend more time with those classes. And I'll tell you what, one thing I just want to double check on is the gap at the end of this lap between the cars that are fighting for honours in the Cup 2 class. We'll wait for them to come through at the end of the lap, but it looks like it's been a very good one from Benjamin Ites in car 900. Came in just ahead. His car came in just ahead of the sister car 902, but it seems to have been a very good lap indeed. So it's a solitary run at the moment for Lucas Stoltz. He's still got the final pit stop to come in, and I would presume he'll hand over for the blast of the finish, which could be, I don't know. What are we on now? Lap 35. He doesn't need really to come in until lap 38. So at the lap pace at the moment, most laps are taking just over 9 minutes. Let's do some maths. That's just under half an hour. That means that he could actually stay and go all the way to the finish, coming for the final 15 minutes. Or he could hand it back to Ralph Aaron.
Ralph Aaron, yeah.
Who, remember, Ralph did basically hour 2 and hour 3 of this race. Hours 1, 4, and now 5 have been done by Luca Stolz.
It'd be quite a thing, wouldn't it, to hand it back to Ralph Aaron to take it to the end and hopefully the win. That'd just be even more icing on the cake for the comeback, isn't it, Drive?
Oh, totally.
And also not just to come back after the accident where he was laid up for effectively 2 months, couldn't do anything, which is quite frustrating. Not being able to rehabilitate. Just that is your rehabilitation. Don't do anything. Just rest. That can be quite challenging, I would imagine. But to come back, not only in a top car, but the same type of car he was racing in the incident in the first place, but come back to somewhere like the Nürburgring. It's not like he's gone around to a simple circuit somewhere.
No.
No circuit is simple in a GT3 car. It's going to have forces and loads upon your body, but there are some that are going to be less challenging on the body than others. And you're not, apart from, this is going to be the most. And to come back here and pick the most difficult circuit with all those compressions and dips, etc., and all the forces on it, and come back, and so far with 40 or just under 42 minutes to go is well, he's sitting in the pits at the moment, isn't he, just thinking this couldn't be much better. I'm sure he will get in the car again. I can't see why they wouldn't.
I can't actually, unless he's sitting there and go, actually, no, I'm really aching from that, because as much as he'll have trained, he wouldn't probably have been as fit as he was before his incident at Bathurst. He'll be getting there, but as you say, 2 months laid up doing nothing, your muscle wastage is astonishing. I mean, if ever you've been stuck in hospital for an operation, I went in to have a knee rebuilt, and the muscle loss I had while I was recovering, it was ridiculous. But you have to work your way back. But the muscle that almost needs the most exercise is that brain, isn't it? The brain.
Absolutely.
And all of the functions that it controls for you or otherwise. But
depending how much control that you've got. Yes.
Loose grip on reality.
Yes, people vary.
Yes. And anyhow, really good job. And also Luca Stolz. I mean, what has he not won in a GT3 car? It's been astonishing, and over a long period of time. He's not the most demonstrative of drivers. Some drivers are sort of just fabulous in front of the camera. I know Luca is, when he's interviewed in English, obviously it's not his first language, but he's not someone with a big smile on his face. But he should be. He wins so many things. He's incredibly honest. I have huge respect when someone has made a mistake or been caught in an instance. If they don't try and hide it away, there you go, this is what happened, matter of fact, and nobody is deceived. But he's been racing in GT3, good grief, since 2014. So you wind back, we were talking about the evolution of the cars in this top class, the GT3 class cars, how they've evolved since then. He's ridden that horse the whole way through. And a lot of the people he's raced with, he's raced for a very long time. Hubert Hout, Maro Engel, they were all with him way back. But the thing is, he keeps on winning. In 2023, he was Intercontinental GT Challenge champion, and that was a thing that does those great races. The one Indianapolis, Suzuka, Bathurst, it's the sort of creme de la creme. And now, of course, it includes the Nürburgring 24 hours along with the Spa 24 hours. So you're judged on that as well. And to back that, and to put no too fine a point on it, the drivers who were competing in the early days, the first decade of GT3, obviously are not on the level now because it's so packed. Some of the very best obviously were on the level, but it's now so packed with works and semi-works drivers, and drivers who are racing these cars, as I said, so frequently. They could be competing in Australia in GT3 in Japan, they could be doing North American series, the Asian series, the European series of various factors, various sorts, various championships. You can get a lot of races in the season now. First to second, 35 laps on the board. The gap is 27 seconds, and Hugo de Wilde should be pitting. He's a car in second place. He's in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. He should be pitting a lap ahead of Luca Stolz. And even if he didn't, even if they decided to come in on the same lap, the gap between them is 27 seconds. with the differential, Stolz's pace versus De Wilde's has driven the advantage out to 50 seconds, the real-time advantage. That is enormous in NLS terms.
So we love a little bit of audience participation when we do, and helpful, constructive background. And Ian McCarthy's come up trumps yet again. He's just messaged me privately. I mentioned about those tyre marks. We were talking about why it's code 60 at Tiergarten, Horizon still. And he's just come up with, Snowy did a little digging. The marks through the grass at the final turn are from the Krones in the 35 Aston going through there backwards just after the halfway mark of the race. Didn't hit anything and didn't pit, but there's been fluid down there, been down since at least then. He reckons the code 60 is just risk management in a very technical braking zone.
Okay.
There you go.
So I thought it was risk management
so
because of tyre wall damage. It could be a combination of the two. We can both be right. I'd rather not be wrong. But anyhow, thank you very much, Ian. As always, Ian is the super fan who has this ability, while we have to keep looking at all the moving pictures, to double back and check things out. And he is seldom anything other than right. So
indeed. So thank you so much, Ian.
Always right, which is a very useful pair of hands to scoop up. Obviously a lot to see, a lot to watch, timing screens too to investigate, and occasionally pesky ones that don't quite update, so you can wonder what you're talking about. But the gap between first and second, here is a second place car. It's black, it's red, it's quick, but it's now 33 seconds down. The Schubert Motorsport BMW just doesn't have an answer to the pace of the number 80 Winward Racing Mercedes. And just on the last lap alone, the race leading car went through in 9 minutes and 2 seconds, and that was 5.5 seconds quicker, around 25 kilometres, than Hugo de Wilde was. So I think we can safely say that Lucas Stolz is doing this on muscle memory.
Yes, well, he had a few laps, didn't he, back in May round here, did quite well then.
Yes, and the previous 12 years as well. So yeah,
well, they count something as well, don't they?
They do.
Coursework.
Yes, yeah, he did the hard yards, and before that he raced in the German Porsche Cup, so he'd have raced on it then as well. Whoa. This later stage in the race, we've been talking about liquid on circuit at various points. You still just remember, when drivers are out in very hot conditions, it has sort of warmed up through the course of the race, that your tyres go to a certain point and then suddenly their handling just changes a little bit. I have no idea why.
Got a lot of gravel on the track there when we just saw Muller just keeping to the right-hand side. This is in the number 48 Black Falcon Losch Motorsport.
Which is running, I'll tell you what's happened in recent laps.
Third place, isn't it?
Up to third. Because,
and leading Pro-Am.
Yeah, the number 4 Porsche has just pitted. They're putting a missile. Nico Menzel's got on board to complete the race. He's got 35 minutes to see what he can make up. Good little battle between number 5, which is Gabriele Piana, down in 8th place. They've had their penalties. They should be further ahead, but they're behind the Renazzo Motorsport Lamborghini. It's yellow, it's twitchy, it's fast, and it's guessing. They both had to go one way around a back marker, but the reason they had to do so, it was coming onto the Dottinger Höhe, and no momentum wanted to be lost by the Lamborghini, but already into the tow, Gabriele Piana. He is an absolute Nürburgring expert. He's going closer and closer. And Christoph Breuer is holding the left-hand side of the track. He's basically saying, you're going to rub my bumper, are you? Are you? But you only go past me on the outside. But it looks like the move has been done there side by side. No, the Porsche has got its nose in front. So Gabriele Piana, when they get to the kink, has got his nose in front. But of course, immediately they get to the kink, he's got to slow right down. You've got the yellow and red warning flags, for slippery surface. You've got the double wave yellows up to Tiergarten they go. But the Porsche got the job done. That gains the position.
So that queue of traffic there, the Lamborghini, yellow Lamborghini poised at the back, all line astern as we come through the final corners onto the pit straight, where this code 6 has been here for a long while. It looks like it's going to stay until the end of the race. Still quite a bit of, there's a bit of BMW debris still left on the left-hand side of the track. They've just left it as a sort of reference of, if you go off here, this is what happens. You leave parts of your car at the side of the track.
Okay, that's interesting, because Gabriele Piana just dived immediately into the pits. Only just managed to scramble in past one of the Audis running in the one Audi running in the TCR class. That means the Renazzo Motorsport Lamborghini continues on its way, so that's holding down 6th, 7th place. But the thing is, of course, by pitting a lap later for his pit stop, he will gain that buffer of 20+ seconds, so it's advantage Lamborghini at this particular point. We'll see if they can get into the top 6 either of those, but I'm I'm really starting to think this one is in the bag, and they're about to draw string across victory to Winward Racing. But why am I saying this? There's more than half an hour to go, but just on the form they've had in the race so far, just peerless form at the front of this race. 36 laps on the board. They can come in 2 more laps, they can come in next lap, but they've got enough of a margin to just decide when to make their stop. Otherwise, if the racing was close, you start as late as you possibly could, so you would come in at the end of lap 38. But such is their buffer of, at the moment, 32 seconds. And I reckon the next time around, let's have a little look and a little bit of a count, that the next car in will be car number 77. And I think they will owe us one at the end of this lap. Car 77 is Hugo de Wilde. It's driven BMW Motorsport car entered by Schubert, but at the moment sitting 33 seconds down on the race leader at the start of this lap. And remember, the lap is 25 kilometres around, and in wet weather or dry, it seems advantage to the race leading Winward Racing Mercedes. It's unlikely that BMW is going to do anything other than come second in this race. We will see. I have been wrong. Across the
Never
years.
been known.
No, it's just a heat stroke. No. So we are getting to the final knockings. You're quite right, there's still debris sort of by the tyre wall of that final corner. The drivers don't get to see the green flag to get going again at full speed until they're out of the corner, onto the start-finish straight. And very shortly after that, those that need to make a pit stop have to dive to the right. So sort of accelerate and then have to almost immediately slow down as they get towards the pit entry. We haven't had a lap, because of that slow zone at the final corner, anywhere near the pace that we had. I think it was on lap 2 when a handful of cars set times, about 5 cars set a lap time under 8 minutes. Since then, there have been barrier repairs, and most notably for the past quite a long time now, the sequence of that final corner. And the delays there, the slow zone, have slowed everything right down, but it's about making things right when you can early in the race, and today it's very much been a case of that. Right, I haven't talked about Cup 3 for a short while. It's being led at the moment by Oscar Sandberg, and he's not got a large lead at all. He's in car number 953 against 962. Nothing between them. So we are very nearly into the final half hour of today's race.
This place leaves no room for error. No escape. Just asphalt, adrenaline, and the legend. The green hell never forgets. It never forgives. Every corner, a fight. No room for weakness. The Nordschleife is no place for empty promises. It is the place where they are delivered. Engineered for the green hell. Official partner of the NLS.
Die Legenden der Nürburgring Nordschleife sind unterwegs. Und zwar direkt zu dir nach Hause. Dank CK Model Cars sicherst du dir deine exklusive Erinnerung an den Besuch an der Rennstrecke. Unzählige Modelle findest du auf ckmodelcars.de oder im Shop direkt in Adenau.
Faltenreifen.
Liebe Fans,
Lovely fans.
besucht uns auf unseren Social Media Kanälen.
Follow us.
Auf Facebook, Instagram.
YouTube und TikTok. Willkommen bei der NLS.
For all concerned in NLS 7, cooler than it has been in previous weeks, where 6 hours around here would have been more torture than treat to all concerned. But today, that little bit cooler, still a fantastic summer's day. But anybody watching, anybody listening, it's extraordinary to see the Nordschleife surrounded by brown, pale brown, where it should be green. The grass is, unless it's in a shaded area, even in a shaded area, is not what it may be. It could take several months to recover, but the track itself in fantastic condition. And right now, the dice has been rolled by Schubert Motorsport. It wasn't a gamble anymore. They had to come in on that lap, the end of lap 37, to make their pit stop. And they are back on track, racing through to the end. Hugo de Wilde staying on board to do the final stint. This 6-hour race is a different equation from having 4 hours around here. Yeah, it sounds simple, but it is a slightly different way of doing things. And again, in the shorter races, if someone gambles early, it means they're going to pay the price late in the race. Sometimes you do it for track position. I did suggest that Winwood Racing, by pitting a lap ahead of their rivals, just wanted to be far enough clear to break the toe. And just bear in mind that we had 2 cars within 4 seconds of them fighting for position. That was the number 64 Mustang, the Ford Mustang from Hout Racing Team, and Era Motorsport making their debut with a Mercedes. They were right in the mix, and maybe it was a sensible move, Snowy, to get them that far clear and hope they could then build on it. Hope has been proved to be the right thing. They've done it.
Yeah, but they've proven their worth, haven't they? They've got a new car this weekend. The skills and talents and experience of Adam Christodoulou in that car. Unfortunately, I'm going to say unsighted by Frank Stiffer standing on the brakes, because he thought he'd seen, he believes, sorry, to say this correct, he believes he saw double wave yellow flags at his side and did the right thing. If that was the case, that's the right thing. Adam Christodoulou thought they were green, and the two just didn't quite work, and both could be absolutely right, which is slightly unsighted. I think
it's a very hard one to prove.
It is,
because line of sight, if there's a course vehicle or a larger vehicle, you cannot see, but the onus is on you to see. But there are moments you have to go, actually, fair enough, with the sun in his eyes and so on and so forth. But I can think of any number of drivers who could come up with those excuses for all sorts of time. They're in front of the stewards. The stewards have to be just unswayed.
Not those two. I mean, personally, if I was a steward in this, I'd be providing the evidence is exactly as they say, which I don't doubt for one bit. Neither of those two will be remotely malicious to one another. It's just not their style. Just how they do, not what they do. It's one of those things. Unfortunately, it's just come together. That's happened. The point being that for Era Motorsport, right up there, second row of the grid, P4 qualified, got into P3 when running nice and strongly. So they've got to walk away with a slightly damaged car. It seems to be a thing about Mercedes and headlamps this year, doesn't there? They all seem to not be able to finish the race with both headlamps in. But they know that car's quick. They've all had a good run in it. So interesting times to come, I think, with that car.
I think so. And again, we'll just refer back to previous comments that it's a car that was made, the AMG Mercedes, to be kind across the board. Not that you'd expect you needed a car to be kind to Adam Christodoulou. He could drive anything on a knife edge. Jake Hill likewise, as he's actually proved in historic racing, in which he's remarkably good. But it's a different way about going about things. But they showed they've got the pace. It'd been a shame we didn't get Carl Tilley in the car to see how he would have adapted to it. But I think probably fairly positive feel, it must be said. Oh, and it makes a brilliant sound. Yeah, can't argue with that, can you? Still waved yellow flags and slow zones around the circuit, but increasingly they don't really matter a great deal to our race leader. But it would be the cruelest of fates. This is the lap that Winwood Racing Mercedes should come in from the lead of the race for the final pit stop. what on this lap if they find a massive slow zone that's a brief one and is cleared by the time the chasing Hugo de Wilde comes around, or anybody else who's in behind them. These things can happen. We've still got cars being rescued from the side of the circuit, but it would be a cruel, cruel stroke of fate, because excellence across one of the stints is great, excellent across 2, but so far it's been excellent across 5 stints. We're about to go into the 6th stint. As we get out, it'll be a short stint because we've only got 22 minutes remaining on the clock through to the end of the race. But due to the amount of petrol, the size of tanks, this should be the in-lap for Winward Racing. And anybody else is going to have to blink. They're going to have to blink very soon indeed. But just remember that figure, 8 laps is as much as you can get out of your tank. Yes, I know there've been slow zones. Could you get 9th? No. With a 25-kilometre gap, if it was a 5-kilometre circuit, you might be able to squeak an extra lap by a bit of fuel saving in the slow zones, but not round here. You don't save 25k's worth.
Not in a hurry.
Frustrating for the drivers. Lots of waved yellows for a stretch of the circuit. They have to keep looking. Code 60 coming up ahead for them, slowing down a bit more. So there's a bit of debris inside the track, or it could have been just a very sharp shadow. And here we are. It's gosh, it's already got round to that time of day, 5:39, 5:40 in the afternoon. So of course there are more shadows, more of an oblique angle across the circuit. But still, the barrier repairs go on. Is that the same place? I think it possibly is the same place. They've been working for a very long time.
There's that green flag on the left that we couldn't see before.
Yeah.
With the intervention vehicle parked right. That's why we missed it. And the lights changed very slightly in what, it was an hour or so ago.
Yeah, and I also think defending us in the commentary box, I think it was right. We probably would have seen it at the very nanosecond the highlights started. So you're probably just adjusting your eyes to the light. Okay, that's excuse 42B, much used. But generally, conditions today have been fine. But you know what the drivers would really have loved in all of this was not to have slow zones at any point. Just getting in your rhythm. You don't want to be interrupted. But as you get towards the end of the race, it's just a countdown. In for the final pit stop. Will Lucas Stoltz get out from the Winward Racing Mercedes, or will he stay on board? Driver out, orange and blue helmet out. Now, interesting to see as Ralph Aron swings himself through the gap. He's quite a tall driver, so he won't be quite as elegant getting in, but he's done that very nicely indeed. Estonian racer. Been going quite a while now in racing. I was just looking, he actually was doing the FIA Karting Academy 13 years ago. Then he moved over to single-seaters in 2014. Italian Formula 4 champion in 2015. Bit of Formula 4 in Germany, bit of international Formula 3. And then it all changed. 2023. Had some time away. Came back 2023, started racing GTs, and I think we can say he's done rather well since then. Second in the ADAC GT Masters on that first GT season. 2023, made his Spa debut, then he raced in Asia with Mercedes in GT World Challenge Asia in 2024, then he raced in Asian Le Mans Series, Climax Racing Mercedes there, then he went back to GT World Challenge Asia last year, and now making a name for himself back in Europe as well. But as you say, you're a hired hand, you're a gun for hire, and you clock up the air miles, and you probably clock up the insomnia as well with all the changing time zones. But I think for a driver who's done a fair bit of racing in Germany, it's rather special to come back and compete on the Nordschleife.
Absolutely. I mean, what a circuit to take part on, and it's been a perfect day for it weather-wise, nice and consistent. Perhaps a little bit hot for tyre temps, but then again, we're happy doing sub 8 minutes, which is the target time for the ADC, so we can't really complain about that. I think it's gone off a bit now. Of course, we've had the continual code 60s, which haven't helped all around the circuit, so lap times are kind of irrelevant now. But a 7:55 for this Winward Racing Mercedes GT3 is the best lap of the race, so they can't complain that that car is absolutely on the pace, on the money, and with some 18 minutes exactly to go as I speak, they cannot complain in any way, shape or form with this car, short of something catastrophic happening now. They have had just the perfect day at this 6-hour Ruhr-Pokal race rather than a 4-hour one.
It's going to be quite interesting to see if they squeak in this lap and the next, or will they accidentally have to have one further lap? Doing some maths there, let's say they're doing average 8-minute 30 laps, but how far into this lap? They're almost a minute into this lap, and we've got 17:30. Yeah, actually, if you back it off a little bit, let's do some maths on the move. I think that should just about work, because the last thing you want to do is an extra lap beyond on a hot day. You want to just get through, cross the line with just after the 6-hour mark, not just before. I won't complain if we carry on a bit longer, because it's still fabulous seeing the cars going around the circuit. But, you know, it's not one of those absolutely critical things, because the lead that Winward Racing Mercedes has would be, you know, they can afford to back it off and play it against the clock. But, you know, we've been here before where in the heat of battle someone's gone through to start a final lap with, you know, moments to go. So
now Tobias Muller is right behind Ralph Aaron in the Losch Motorsport, 48 Losch Motorsport Porsche, but of course that's they've just come out of the pit. So does Tobias Muller owe us a pit stop still?
Yeah, I'm going to say end of this lap.
Okay, so it's kind of academic in being there, but you still do it. You still apply the pressure. You're still a racer. You just don't want to make a mistake whilst doing that.
Well, it actually put him into a zone of peril there. Not that you expected Tobias Muller to do anything wrong, but you know, things can happen. But I'll just go through this one more time about the pit stops. After lap 6 of the front runners, only 81 and 123 came in to make a pit stop. Number 1 is down in 6th place now. That's the FK Performance BMW. Number 123 is the Muller Motorsport Porsche. However, everybody else pretty much, well, no, everybody else came in after 7 laps. A typical stint is 8 laps. And so ever after, 48 has remained pitting a lap after. It cannot go another lap after this one without fuel. So it's going to come in. But it's just interesting to have it on the track. And actually, we will see at the end of the race, the interval between them. It'll actually let us know very clearly how long a pit stop takes. And obviously, the closer to the end, the shorter your pit stop will be. But I don't think... We can't. He's still going to make a pit stop. He's still behind. He's going to have a shorter pit stop, but it won't be enough to gain him a lap, will it? But they've gone well, 48 crew, I must say. Nice to see some different crews getting some better results as well, and always looking for sort of the mix being shuffled around a little bit. And for 48, it's the Losch Motorsport crew, and they're certainly getting to grips with their Porsche, must be said. And they actually won the Pro-Am class in the first of the rounds that was completed and last time out. 3rd place overall in both, so it looks like they're heading for a similar position today. So they're showing good consistency, I must say, Losch Motorsport. Patrick Assenheimer, Tobias Muller, and that great Porsche racer from Luxembourg, Dylan Pereira, as well. They're quite a settled crew, I must say, actually.
Well, dropping back a little bit now is Tobias Muller. He doesn't need to do any more than that, and of course he owes us a pit stop. So Ralph Aaron will be completely aware of that, of course, and just pulling out a little bit of a gap there for comfort, just to stop that Porsche being all over the back of him. But
yeah, you don't want to be in a zone where someone else is right behind you, and they may trip up and miss their braking point, going to a slow zone or something, and just
all the hard work's undone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just a matter of minutes to go. What have we got? 14 minutes to go now. So I'm intrigued, as you say, Bruce, what's going to happen lap-wise now. So let's just have a look where our number 80 car is on the track right now.
We have 13 minutes and 40.
So just come out to carousel. Sorry.
Okay. No, okay. Well, we'll just see where they are at the end of this lap. Will they leave? I mean, the average lap, the lap times recently have been north of 9 minutes, 9 minutes 10. So I think that means they will be going on to the last lap. They won't have time for this 2 laps after this one. Just having a little look down the order to see where is car 718. Remember, that's the car driven by Timo Berthard and Jörg Bergmeister. They're still in around 40-something. They're 45th position. They're running 4th in the SP10 class car. SP10. And they're in the Porsche 718 that is getting the last of them made in terms of the GT41, and it's going to go straight after this race into the Porsche Museum. I like the way it wasn't put away before it did the race, but afterwards. And a little message from Rob Lomas, our producer. He said, of course, Timo Bernhardt and Jörg Bergmeister, sharing, as you will remember, with Michael Schromm and Kevin Buckler for the Racers Group, they won at Daytona. They won their class in 2003. So we said they go back a long way as a partnership. That's pretty spectacular, 23 years ago.
I did also make them comment earlier that, of course, I'd forgotten he'd won the 2010 Le Mans 24 Hour. I also won it in 2017 in the Porsche 919.
He did quite a lot of winning.
And the 24 Hour Nürburgring 4 times.
Yeah, Bernard.
Apart from that, yeah. It's all about Bernard. It's all about him, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought I'd just eke it out over the programme rather than say it all at one go.
Drip feed.
Drip feed, exactly. Yes. Timo water torture.
So we lost a few of the front runners. Era Motorsport, we mentioned, of course, they were very much challenging. They started 4th, got up into 3rd place and looking very competitive. Contact led to front corner damage on their new Mercedes for Era Motorsport. So Jake Hill had a go and then brought the car in after Adam Christodoulou's opening stint.
Well, Jake also got hit by a Porsche, didn't he? Which took, took the splitter off, and because it was so badly damaged, there was nothing left to attach another one to.
Yes, that's quite difficult. Air fixtures, not so good. And also, we had a long delay for the 35 Walkenhorst Aston Martin, and that has come back out, but it lost, I think, the best part of 13 or 14 laps, and it's way down the order. Sometimes you have to go, okay, not today, but we'll go out and get more accustomed to the car on the circuit in the warm conditions and so on and so forth. But they had an incident where they went off backwards at the final corner complex. That didn't help things either, but it was the problem early in the race that affected them, where they had to come in and make repairs because they were given the technical warning flag, black with the orange circle on it, that the fire extinguisher didn't have a light flashing on its box, which means it wasn't active, which obviously
wasn't armed. Yes.
Not a good thing.
It was interesting. I nearly got caught on that at Silverstone last week with the historic cars. You have a metal pin in your fire extinguisher. You stop in Parc Fermé, then obviously you take the pin out for the beginning of the race. You do that in the assembly area when you go out, and being diligent for to the end of the race, I put the pin in, and the scrutineer saw me and just said, he said, can you take that out? He said, I said, if you just done that, and I said, I'm just putting it in. He said, no, under Parc Fermé rules, leave the pin out, please.
Okay.
He said, if one car goes up, we've got them all next to one another. He said, it's collective. He said, let's have it out, please. And I said, okay, fair enough.
And while you were saying that, they are now finally doing barrier repairs at the last corner complex. They've got a new barrier section in place. And
with 10 minutes to go.
With 10 minutes to go. I ordered this yesterday. I ordered the poppadoms.
Exactly.
Yeah, but anyhow, they
I said leave it by the gate. It's fine. Don't worry about the dog.
He doesn't like curry.
Delivery drivers. Yes.
Anyhow, so the gap that I had seen where the tyre stack was missing was obviously where there had been contact. From the front side, you couldn't really notice it so much, but an aero shot showed there was damage. But on into the pit comes the 48 Losch Motorsport Porsche, car number 48, by the way, and others will be visiting the pit lane too. But that means our race leader, Ralph Aron, will have an even larger lead. He's got what's left on the clock, 9 minutes 39. And he has 39 laps on the board. He needs to back it off on this one, or he'll end up doing a further lap, because the last time around, 9 minutes and, hold on, refresh. The previous lap was 9 minutes 10 for him. I would reckon the latest lap will be a similar amount of time, so he needs to slow it down. Oh, 9 minutes 51. If he does another one of those, he should be fine. Or should he? We will find out. Hugo de Wilde should go back into second place. The Schubert Motorsport BMW black and red, the Yokohama tyres, because it's lying third at the moment, but it's already served its final pit stop. And that would have been a longer pit stop than its rivals, though. It'd be really interesting to see, because the number 48 Porsche came in 2 laps later. That could be a big swing in difference. Big time difference, I would reckon. We will see. Clock under 10 minutes, under 9 minutes, counting down to the end of 6 hours. By the way, just looking back to Cup 2, the battle is in 12th and 13th positions overall. And the gap really shot out, but actually, last few laps, it's settled down. It's 17 seconds between Benjamin Ites, the driver from Chile, and Vasatura in 9:02. And just checking the lap times. Actually, I tell you what, the last lap was 8 seconds faster for the chaser. But maybe Benja Ites just is sort of quite content, feels he's got the margin, thinks it's the final lap, he thinks it's all over. We will find out if it is. But for now, Leon Vasatura, all he can do is chase and hope. But you can't help feeling at this point in the race, or for the last 4 hours, that a lot of drivers must have been thinking, we have a green flag lap. But sometimes that is a treat you only really get in the very early laps of the race, because it's one thing if you have to go out and repair a barrier on a circuit that's 5 kilometres around, but 25, the logistics of getting your parts around the circuit, the organisers are absolutely excellent at it, but it is still a big beast, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and the crews have to be multi-skilled, of course, and they're incredibly efficient, but it can be a slow job, because some of the points around the circuit, if you have contact, you're going to be going at very great speed, so it's, you know, it's imperative any barrier damage is repaired to bring the safety level back up to a proper standard.
Yeah, I can't recall a race 4, 6 or otherwise actually hours where we've had code 6 for so long at a section of the track without any activity going on, i.e. for another reason. Totally justifiable, and the officials know exactly what they're doing, of course, but just with no apparent activity. We've seen barrier repairs and things going up or quick dry going down, but just sitting there waiting for it, and then suddenly with 10-15 minutes to go, a set of barriers arriving seems slightly odd. But
well, it'll be interesting if you look at the logistics, how flatbed trucks they have with the high ab crane or what other mates are allowed around the circuit. Obviously they're dotted around. You don't want to have someone driving, because you can't go in the reverse direction. You don't want to say off you go, it's 25 kilometres around the circuit, the various points, but you know, other trucks have been used at other points on the circuit. Maybe they didn't have enough trucks in the final stage of the circuit that had the barrier units. They could have been used at corners before it, but anyhow, as the cars come through, 6 minutes remain, and Winwood Racing, you have to feel of one hand very, very firmly on the winner's trophy here, but they know at the end of each lap, when they go along the Dotting Her, it's not like normal. They normally have their ears pinned back, trying to pick someone off or drop someone off their tail. And now, as soon as they get to the kink, they've got to back it right off, slow it down to 60 kph, and negotiate the uphill left into the right as it flattens out a bit, then a tighter right, which is the penultimate corner, and then the left onto the start-finish straight. And the drivers can all see the rescue crews. And it very much is towards the end of that penultimate corner where the barriers have been damaged. The crane is sitting at the edge of the track, the flatbed truck, the units are being moved across, but you feel the checkered flag will be done before that repair is complete.
so our race leader is just approaching the Corrida carousel now and into the middle of it. So they will complete, it will be this lap and next, won't it? There's one more after this.
I'd be interested to see, you know, he's sitting on a decent margin, so he could back it off, but it's always so hard to judge. And maybe he's feeling comfortable in the car, quite happy to go on for another 25 kilometres. But I would suggest first race back. It's like there's fitness and then there's match fitness. And just being buffeted in the car and stuff, if you're in the gym, you're not getting buffeted around, you know, but just the movement in the saddle, in the seat, you know, it is much more physical, and you might have the aerobic fitness, but it's that ability to sort of reduce, you know, to take in G-force loadings and pressure that are very, very hard to replicate in any other way.
Yeah, it's the same as when you go testing a car and whatever. There's no substitute for racing. You can test this, you can try that, you can run through programs. Let's do this, drive it this way, do that, stop harder, brake harder, overheat the brakes, do whatever, so and so. Try different techniques. Nothing happens until you put it into a race situation. That's when you really find out. My point was, as he's coming down now, I'm saying this is Rolf Aron, our race leader. He's currently at Flansgarten with just under 4 minutes ago, 3 minutes 50 it was as I spoke. He's not going to take that long to get through Schwalbenshausen onto Galgenkopf and Dottingerhohe, even with the code 60 at the end. So I doubt they're going to call the flag at the end of this, because there'll still be some time on the clock. So there must be at least one more lap after this, I'd have thought.
Yeah, but I noticed suddenly there was a waved yellow at Carousel. I think that might have been cleared up, but
yeah, that just
tell you what,
that just caught out Tobias Muller, didn't it?
Yeah, and he's running around in second in the Losch Motorsport Porsche, but he's got company right behind him. A few car lengths back is the Schubert Motorsport BMW, which I knew by pitting 2 laps after the Schubert Motorsport BMW, there was about a 45-second gain. I didn't see until they got the shot that Tobias Muller should be just in front.
So Rolf Aron is on the Dottingerhohe. He's just approaching the kink very shortly, in fact almost as I speak, and we'll be through that and coming up to the Tiergarten section. So with 2 minutes 40 of time to go.
Check on your tracker if you would, Snowy. Where is number 48 relative to 77? I'm not sure if 48 is in second place or 77 has managed to get out of the pits in front. I have a feeling 48 is in second, is it?
48 is in second. It's Schwaben's front, yes.
Okay. All right, so not a great margin over Ugo de Wilde.
Oh, no, 77's on the Dottinger Her.
Okay, so 77 has got out ahead. Okay, that was the query. I couldn't see in one shot. I thought I saw 48 just ahead of 77, but I was looking at someone locking up into the carousel because there was a Cayman parked right at the top end of the circuit. But here we go. What's on the clock? 2 minutes onto the start for this straight we go. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Ralph Aron. So he sees the green flag on the exit of the final corner. He accelerates hard down the straight. Okay, it wasn't even close. About a minute and 50 seconds left on the clock. Over the start finish line he goes on to lap number 41. And so this one is not in doubt in terms of on-track action, in terms of position. And number 80, apart from pit stops, and by dint of pitting early, it put itself in a different position to a lot of its rivals. But in terms of pure consistent pace, Winwood Racing have really got this one together today. And for Ralph Aron, who unbelievably has never raced on the Nordschleife before, oh boy, is he going to wind up the other drivers.
Something about a Winwood Mercedes, isn't there?
They've been around for quite a long time as a team. Don't think of them as a new team anymore. You know, for years you thought, oh, they're pretty new to this, but they're not. I mean, first on as FAA GT3 European Series in 2012. Working in conjunction as HTP Motorsport.
Yeah, 14 years ago.
Yeah. And then they had instant success the next few years, and yeah, scored a lot of honours. 2012 to 2017. And then since then, you know, perhaps actually as international GT3 racing has become more and more competitive, they've been there or thereabouts, but another title would be something that they very much want to put in their cupboard. Based in Pasadena in Texas, and also, as I mentioned, Altendietz here in Germany. So very, very close with Mercedes.
Well, the clock will have stopped, even though our legend, of course, is telling us the final lap. Obviously, we know that, but was it just over? Was it 2 minutes? Just under
1 minute 47.
Yeah, exactly.
I think.
Just under 2 minutes.
Right. The gap between first and second is nearly 39 seconds. The gap back to third place, 1 minute and 3 seconds. So my concern that Tobias Mullis's pit stop a lot quicker as we look at one car and a rescue car, course vehicle, stuck high on the banking, right up against the barriers at the top of the carousel. Yeah, they gained a lot of time by their later final pit stop, but for 77, they had enough of a buffer there, so they're sitting in front of it by about, what, 34 seconds. So that's safe, and then a bit of a gap back to number 4 crew. Who've had a good run, certainly with Nico Menzel on board. They've looked very impressive indeed. They're running in 4th place overall, just under 2 minutes down, an hour, minute and 51 seconds down on the race leader, but suitably clear of Moulin Motorsport. Their Porsche, Ben Bunagel on board, is a little bit further back. But I think actually looks as though Pavel Lefterov might be able to gain a position. And also it's very, very close. Oh my word, here we have a battle for Pavel Lefterov looking one way, and then Gabriel Piana's getting on the mix. He's right on the tail of Christoph Breuer. The Renazzo Motorsport Lamborghini has got company, and it's Gabriele Piana. Car number 5, tail end of the top 10. They're fighting over 8th place and 7th place. 7th place in Breuer's hands. Shadows much, much longer in the later afternoon here. Early evening, it's just gone 6 o'clock in the evening. And the light was higher, but now it's more in the drivers' faces. That may have a role to play, but Snowy talked us through the value of tinted visors, and here and now is where they come into their own in the changing light around the circuit. So Pavel Lefterov is or was all over the tail of Ben Bunagel's Moulin Motorsport Porsche. Just waiting to see the gap between them when they go through at the end to complete 40 laps from their point of view. But I would expect the number 1 BMW to go on through. It's been very quick, and Pavel Lefterov's had a really good race, the Bulgarian racer. And battle between Christoph Breuer, car number 786, the yellow Lamborghini, and Gabriele Piana. Well, push almost comes to shove, but a point at which Gabriele Piana would have fancied a move, of course, has been removed because you've got that slow zone at the very end of the lap. No overtaking allowed. He has to just sit back in and wait. But he's got one further lap to get around to it because, of course, the race isn't over until... Well, no, for our front runners, in fact, they're still going around the lap. But for the others, it's that sort of... you cannot play if you can't overtake into the final corner.
So the Lamborghini has... I've noted that it's crossed the blend line coming out of the pits on its final stop. Whether that's going to be noted by anybody else and anything done about it, I'm not sure, but it definitely did cross the line. Only fractionally, just a wheel over, but rules is rules.
Indeed they are. And car number 23 was in the running early on, Komoto Racing, but that spent a lot of time in the garage, and that's just dived in to make its final pit stop at the end of the race, or simply just to park up in the race. They lost a lot of time with repairs early in the race.
And that was a potential lunge down the inside for Gabriele Piana there in the number 5 Porsche, trying to get on terms with the... Oh, he's taken the long way round, gone around the outside of a back marker there to try and... I mean, that's completely off track. It's kept him in touch. It's got him even closer to the Lamborghini. I'm not sure whether that's a legit manoeuvre or not, actually. The back marker stayed where he was, and the Lambo went down the inside and the Porsche around the outside, but way off onto the runoff area. It's quicker, much quicker through the corner of the technical stuff than the Lamborghini and the Porsche is at the moment, but I think the Lamborghini's got the power at the moment. They've got to finish this Grand Prix part of the circuit, and then when they get onto the Hatzenbach, so really Gabriele Piana needs to get this done now and then. Look at that through the faster parts, Schumacher S and up to the Vidal chicane. The Lamborghini's got the legs and pulled out 3 car lengths, 3-4 car lengths already, but through the technical parts, the Porsche was just all over the back of the Lamborghini, as we see through the chicane again, not just catching under braking. This will be interesting through Shabin Smith's curve, where how quickly he gets out of this. It's Piana I'm talking about, treated some lovely onboard here, down through the Hatzenbach. It should be quicker than the Lamborghini, as we've seen for the previous parts of this lap. So Lamborghini just pulled out a tiny little bit there, but I think the Porsche will just hold it there. Yes, look, starts to gain. Now, to get more technical, the Porsche starts to gain ground again and closes that gap from 3 car lengths down to at least 1, 2 maybe.
Yeah, the Lamborghini seems to have plenty of poke in a straight line, but he's really having to hang on in the corners, but he's got to do it for another lap. Oh, don't worry, it's only another 22.5 kilometres. Press on, press on. But yeah, out of corners must be slightly frustrating for Gabriele Piana, but bear in mind that the number 5 car had a stop-and-go penalty. That is why it's behind the Lamborghini, but that is racing. Those are rules. You transgress, you pick up the punishment, and it's about keeping your nose clean, about keeping out of trouble, as much as being quick in the early stages of race. They didn't manage to do so, and remember, they also had contact with the car that pretended to the Audi that was painted like a 1990s Alfa Romeo, would have raced in the British Touring Car Championship, or likewise in more flamboyant form in the DTM as well, with more wings and things. But
our race leader coming onto the dotting her for the final time, coming into that slow zone, Bruce, very shortly.
He once went in with a flourish, but
you can gun it across the line, can't you, with the green flag?
Yeah, bit of big noise.
Little flourish.
Yeah, but for Ralph Ferron, I'd love to see his face when he gets out of the car, because there'll be relief on that as well. I mean, in fairness, they've been so well placed, starting on pole position, his pole position, but through to the end of the race. He's watched it unravel, while Lucas Stoltz did a slightly longer run in his 3 stints, because this final stint for Ralph Ferron, who did stints 2 and 3, was only going to be about 20-odd minutes, but to come through the final corner at what we call slower than walking pace, 60 kph, but then a little bit of power going down, a little bit of noise, and victory going to Winwood Racing, and Ralph Lauren goes over towards the team who are up there, fists in the air over the pit wall, so they'll be delighted with that. He'll be delighted with his comeback, and the margin of victory in the end is going to be what we call beyond comprehensive, because they got things right. They worked the tactics very nicely indeed with their strategy, but the pace of both of the drivers, Luca Stolz, who did the hard yards, did the start of the race, kept the lead from pole position, but between them they did a really, really good job for Windward Racing. And it will be a while until the next car comes into view, and we expect it to be, and there it is, black and red and second place. It's Schubert Motorsport with their BMW M4 GT3, and the driver bringing it home is Hugo de Wilde, so that's another good result for them. Two different mates in the top two positions, and we expect Tobias Muller to be third through the corner. Car number 48, here it comes now, waiting for the green flag to be waved. Final flourish, the acceleration to the start-finish line will take the checkered flag in third place overall. So Mercedes from BMW from Porsche, and there'll be another Porsche in fourth place overall. Gap between first and second, just under 40 seconds. Wow.
Well, sorry, like I said, that is a decisive performance from Windward Racing all weekend, from qualifying, all 6 hours of the race, pit stop strategy, both drivers. Lucas Stolz never had a question mark over it. There was no question mark over Ralph Aron, other than how's he going to perform on his comeback and how's he going to feel physically on such a demanding circuit. That was all. There was never any question about his ability.
No, absolutely not. But they just, I almost feel if we hadn't had slow zones, their advantage would have been even greater. Their pace and their balance of the car looked supreme. Oh, bit of contact right at the end of the race. Yeah. The Bullner Motorsport Porsche clattered into a back marker and struggling to get out of the chicane. Car running in front of it, running in the Porsche Cup 2 class, getting very loose indeed. And this is the point that Cup 2 class cars can be very, very quick in a straight line. But at the end, we had 4 cars on the lead lap, and that Bullner Motorsport Porsche we saw just running a little bit wide is probably got to complete its lap. But at the moment, 4 cars over the finish line, with the 2 Porsches in third and fourth. 48, which is Losch Motorsport, and number 4, Nico Mansell's come through into fourth in his. Again, a penalty for them didn't help proceedings. The next car through should be that number 123 Bullner Motorsport Porsche, some distance further back, but getting very busy. And where is the number 1 Mercedes? Because that Pavel Lefterov, is he ahead of it or behind? Because that car has had a lot of pace. Sorry, when I say number 1 Mercedes, FK Motorsport BMW, shared with a host of other drivers. Dan Harper, who started, Pavel Lefterov, Maxime Houston, and Leighton Fury, the South African driver. That has been quick in dispatches as well. But that was the one that started at the back of their pack because they didn't set a time in qualifying. So lots of ifs and buts and maybes, but no quibble, no question about the merits of Windward Racing, winning and controlling things from the very outset. Half a second quicker than anybody else in qualifying. Thank you, Ralph Aron. And then in the race, his pace and the pace of that ultra steady, ultra reliable, but ultra quick driver, Lucas Stolz, that did the rest. And Gap, we've got a few more cars. In fact, yes, Pavel Lefterov, the number 1 BMW, did get through into 5th place ahead of the number 123 Bullner Motorsport Porsche, and the Renatso Motorsport Lamborghini should probably be the next in line, or will it? But anyhow, Lucas Stolz goes up to open the, just waiting for his teammate to get out, all dressed in blue, the tall Luca, waiting for Ralph Aron, who's probably just pausing for a moment, unclipping the net, and will be helped out of the car. Well done. What a return to Ralph Aron.
Can't imagine the relief.
Yeah.
He must feel.
Oh, 100%. And also what's so rare is for him to be racing back in Europe. You know, the young Estonian racer did loads of racing in Europe, but his sort of return to racing popped up in Asia and has been doing a really good job out there. But today, he'll be really pleased with that. And good to see some other drivers coming across. Patrick Assenheimer coming. He knows what it takes to win here. He's won so many events in the NLS, hasn't he?
I was just going to say, he knows what that means.
Oh, and here comes his car. The Losch Motorsport Porsche through into 3rd place overall. So great manufacturer variety. Mercedes from BMW and Porsche. And the driver who brought that in is Tobias Muller. He'll have enjoyed that race too. And also going through all that. You know, it's 6 hours. It's a longer race. It's more of an achievement. But again, for the Losch Motorsport crew. That is third place overall for the third time this season, and third time that has given them the class victory in Pro-Am. So that's good. But Renazzo Motorsport are going to come through with their Lamborghini, still in 7th place, chased all the way to the flag by Gabriele Piana. Gap between them at the end of the race, just over 0.2 of a second. And that would have been frustrating for Gabriele Piana with that final corner sequence, unable to provide him a chance to make the most of dotting her and maybe make a lunge. Barrier repairs still continuing at the exit of the penultimate corner. But interesting race today, but you have to say it was controlled in phenomenal style by Winwood Racing. They really did an exemplary job today. Decided to do it with 2 drivers rather than 3. Some of the crews brought 4 drivers on board to share the 6 hours, 50% longer than a normal round of the Nürburgring Langstrecken-Series. But again, interesting. But you know, not all the teams that compete across the course of the season were here this weekend. That was a factor too. There'll certainly be other crews going, well, I think we might have been a bit closer. But Winwood Racing had things under control. I would have challenged anybody to get out there and see if they could topple them.
Well, an absolute textbook display. Pole position, race win on a 6 hour, not even a 4 hour. Perfect strategy, fastest lap of the race. The only question mark over any of that would have been, was the young Ralph Aaron fit enough to do 4 hours, 3 odd hours in the car around Nordschleife? And the answer most emphatically is yes.
Indeed, he did slightly under half the race because the final stint was a short one. Actually, good results in the end for the number 64.
Just seen that, yeah.
Mustang just come through in 9th place overall, 6 minutes and 40 seconds off the race finishing car. But they spent a lot of time with repairs going on their car because rear end damage with that contact with the Era Motorsport Mercedes giving it a clatter up the rear. But they persevered because at the time we thought, oh, with those repairs, all they can do is just go out for a test run. But at the end of the race, they were running on perfectly strong pace, but you can't afford to lose a best part of a lap, 3/4 of a lap, and hope to get any higher. And the Manthey Porsche, running in the SP Pro class, comes through in 10th place overall. That's where with the Griezmanns on board, but an interesting day. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know what happened between 900 and 902 in the battle for Cup 2 honours, it stayed with 900, and eventually by a margin of 19 seconds was the gap that Benja Itez built out over Oliver Wassertori. So that is it from us for the end of NLS 7, an enthralling race, but victory and how, I think we can say, for Winwood Racing. For Ralph Aaron, who brought it home, who put it on pole, and Lucas Stoltz, who did the hard yards. Exemplary performance. For everyone else, look, listen and learn. But it was 6 hours of fun, and that's over from me, Bruce Jones, and from Peter Snowden. Goodbye.